plate, calling balls and strikes, Mr. Ruben Candelaria. On the bases tonight, Mr. Dean Poteet.
Beautiful night here for baseball in downtown San Rafael. A gorgeous, cloudless day on this 30th of July for the first game of the series between the San Rafael Pacifics and the East Bay Lumberjacks. It's going to be a one-game series that will feature a former Pacific on the mound. We'll get to that in a minute. Vinny Longo here alongside Charles Scott here to bring you the action of tonight's game. It should be an interesting one. The Pacifics just came off a 3-game sweep with these same Lumberjacks last week. They're coming into this game with a 37-14 record, the Lumberjacks with a 1-21 record. The Pacifics are in first place in the Pacific Association of Professional Ball Clubs, and the Lumberjacks are sitting at dead last, losers of their last 14. So Charles, we saw this team a little bit last week. You were here for one of those games and broadcasted one of those on the air. What did you see out of this team? Did you see that they have the potential to really compete with this Pacifics team, or did you just see really that they are just not quite in the same league?
Yeah, based on what I saw from this squad last week, I really just think that they're completely outclassed. I think the Pacifics are rolling at a high level right now. They're playing a very high level of baseball. They're very confident, and they're walking into this game knowing that they've definitely got the upper hand.
And a very interesting turn of events happened last week when the Vallejo Admirals came in. After that 3-game sweep, the Admirals came in and took 2 of 3 from the Pacifics, which actually made the Pacifics suffer their first series loss of the season. An absolute stunner, as the Pacifics had taken 9 of 12 from the Admirals up to that point. But it was a completely different Admirals team that came in, and they shocked the entire San Rafael area.
Well, once again, I think having the type of success that the Pacifics have had throughout the season thus far, and then playing a lackluster team as the Lumberjacks in a 3-game set prior to that, their guard was probably let down a little bit, and they probably didn't come in with the same type of attention to detail, the same type of focus, and they were caught off guard and didn't play very well, and as a result of that, ended up losing the series.
Well, today's pitching matchup is going to bring to the mound a former Pacific and actually the hero of San Rafael High, Stephen Detweiler, who until last Thursday night was on this Pacifics team as a backup outfielder or designated hitter, pinch hitter, what have you. He wasn't really listed as a pitcher as much. He'd only had 1 appearance on the year. That was in Arizona, and he got shelled. 4 earned runs in 3 1/3 inning pitch, and that brought him up to an ERA of 10.8. He's a knuckleball pitcher, which is always a variable. You never really know what you're going to get out of them. And he's going to come in and start against his former team today. So Detweiler doesn't actually have a record. He hasn't started a game. For the Pacifics, it's going to be Christian Scholl starting the game. Scholl, who's coming off a win off of these very same East Bay Lumberjacks last week, comes into this game with a record of 4-3. That was Scholl's first win in 4 appearances. So he looked a lot better than he had previously last week, and he's going to be looking to continue that rhythm against the same Lumberjacks team this week. We're just about ready for first pitch here. Let's take a moment to go over the starting lineups for the East Bay Lumberjacks. Batting first and playing shortstop is going to be Joseph Wittig. Batting second and playing right field with a very strong arm out there who was able to back up Chase Fontaine last time. Andre White playing center field and batting third is going to be the very dangerous Justin James, the man leading the Pacific Association in batting average. Hitting cleanup, a new addition to the East Bay Lumberjacks, and playing first will be Mike Hose. Batting fifth and pitching for the Lumberjacks will be Steve Detweiler. Batting sixth and playing third base, the ever dangerous Mike Taylor. Batting seventh in left field, Toby Rede White. Batting eighth and doing the catching for the Lumberjacks, Matt Lucchese. And then batting ninth, another new addition for the Lumberjacks will be Mike Luke Hawks. On the mound, as we said, will be Steve Detweiler. And then looking at the San Rafael Pacifics, Bryce Kendall is going to be leading off and playing second. Chase Fontaine in the 2-hole playing left field. Michael Hova hitting third, playing DH. He actually hits .350 when he designated hits, batting fourth and playing first base, Johnny Woodard. Kyle Donati in the 5th hole playing third base, Danny Gonzalez hitting sixth and playing short, batting seventh and catching Matt Quintero. Batting eighth, moving up in a spot in the roster and playing center field, Zach Payson. Then batting ninth and playing right field, Morgan Micken. And then, of course, on the mound, Christian Scholl, ready to pitch to Joe Wittig. Scholl working quickly. His first pitch to Wittig. A fastball on the outside corner for a strike. That's how this one gets underway. First pitch right around 7:05. A perfect start as Scholl's second pitch. That one misses. Now 1-1 the count. Scholl entirely in the sunlight, Wittig in the shade. We'll see whether that causes problems as he misses off the inside with that one.
Scholl being very aggressive here, attacking the zone with a lot of fastballs right now, just trying to get ahead of this hitter.
Now the 2-1 pitch to Wittig. Fastball, that one hits the outside for a strike. You know, Scholl on the season is a very consistent pitcher. He hits the strike zone a lot. 81% first pitch strikes from him. But the problem is that his strikes, well, he tends to throw a lot of them, and they don't tend to be well located. They tend to be belt high, right over the middle of the plate, and they get hit pretty hard.
Right. Well, that's he's accomplishing one of his goals, which is to get out in front of the hitters by trying to throw a lot of first pitch strikes. But then once you do that, you do have to expand the zone and try and hit your corners and hit your spots in order to finish hitters off.
As Bryce Kendall made the defensive play there to retire Wittig, so one away in the top of the first. Andre White coming up to the plate.
Number 21, Andre
White, a big, powerful hitter, very reminiscent of Barry Bonds in his batting stance with a slightly open stance from the left side, and he kind of wags his bat by his head.
A little bit of an unusual choice of two-hole hitters here. I've never seen a 6'5", 240-pound two-hole hitter, but I think the Lumberjacks are trying whatever they can to try and get some runs scored across during this game.
As Kendall takes his time, almost fooled by White's speed there. White definitely unveiling a little bit of speed that Kendall didn't expect there, almost was a little bit too late.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed about White and seeing him play last week is that he definitely comes to play. He plays all out. He played right field the last game I was here, and he did a very good job out there too. A big lumbering stud of a guy, but a guy that probably most would not assume would have the type of athleticism that he's displayed. So right there he showed a little bit more of it by really hustling down the line and getting down the line and making that play a lot closer than what it should have been.
Well, Scholl's working very quickly through the lineup as James swings at the second pitch and grounds it right at Johnny Woodard. Scholl has to hurry. Did he beat him? Yes, he did. That was a really close play there. Justin James breaking out the sprinting, and Scholl was taking his time, almost paid for it. But fortunately for the Pacifics, he does get there. So the Lumberjacks go 1-2-3 in the top of the first. We're going to move to the bottom of the first inning. Still no score here from Albert Park. You are watching Pacifics Baseball on Marin Television.
Every Pacifics home run is brought to you by Blake's Auto Body. Next time you need work done, remember Blake's Auto Body.
Hello, my name is Janet McCarroll.
And I'm Sam Bella.
Welcome to the Pacifics Baseball Game Recap, brought to you by Marin TV and Dominican University.
Today we're recapping the game on Thursday, June 27, 2013.
The San Rafael Pacifics came away with a 4-0 victory on this matchup against the Hawaii Stars. Pacific starters Logan Odom was more than solid, improving to 3-0 with a 2.97 ERA. He gave up just 6 hits and 4 walks over 7 2/3 innings while striking out 9. About Odom's performance, Pacific's manager Ryan Pretty said, "They don't know what to expect. Odom went out there and pitched his game and threw first pitch strikes, and they really didn't have an answer for him."
Hawaii certainly got shut down, but a slew of defensive mistakes didn't help either. In the bottom of the fourth, with Danny Gonzalez at the plate, a pass ball allowed Kyle Donani to get to third. And then Gonzalez sent the very next pitch into left for a single, getting the Pacifics on the board. The Stars hurt themselves again in the bottom of the seventh, when Bryce Kendall's center field single was fielded and thrown wildly home, scoring ranking. The defense was so unpredictable that even our camera crew was a bit confused.
The Pacifics held on to the shutout for a 4-0 win, improving their division record to 22-6. That's it for this TV game recap. I'm Janet McCarroll.
And I'm Sam Bella. You can find our live TV schedule online at cmcm.tv/camp. And also learn more about this sports broadcasting training program. See you next time.
And welcome back to Albert Park for the bottom of the first inning. The Lumberjacks in 1-2-3 in the top of the first, so it's still scoreless here. And Steve Detweiler's out to pitch. The former Pacific and knuckleballer is out to try his luck against the Pacifics in his first start of the season. His last start actually came last season, so he hasn't really seen much action on the mound this year whatsoever. Bryce Kendall, the Pacific's leadoff hitter, standing in against him.
Probably a little bit of an unnerving situation for Detweiler here, having played with these guys for 2 seasons, and now he's on the mound facing his former teammates and trying to battle and put out a quality start against his former team.
Well, he got the first pitch over to Kendall. I actually got the chance to talk with Det earlier. We both work in stadium operations here, and I asked him, how's it going to feel to pitch against your old team?
Right.
And he said, you know, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
But it's going to be weird wearing the green, but at the same time, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm not going to pull anything as Kendall is going to ground out to Taylor here. But Detweiler was very excited for this opportunity. He is a knuckleballer, so the Pacifics are going to have a little trouble in that sense, but he said, they may be my friends. I'm really close with a lot of them. I go fishing with some of them, as we'll get to in a second, but honestly, I'm coming out there with everything I got. You know, I'm looking to get 10 strikeouts and a complete game shutout here.
Yeah, well, as an athlete, I mean, that's all you can do. You've got to go out and compete against the people that you're playing against, and I'm sure Detweiler's very excited about this opportunity and looking forward to going out and, you know, doing the best that he can in order to defeat his ex-team.
And the first pitch to Chase Fontaine misses. You know, earlier yesterday, Monday is the day off for a lot of teams in the Pacific Association as they play a lot of 6-game series. And yesterday, Detweiler, Pacific starter Christian Scholl, and Pacific's manager Ryan Pretty all went fishing together and just enjoyed a day out.
Yeah.
And actually, the day that Detweiler was traded, Det and I were sitting in the visitors' dugout, and Scholl came over and said, "Hey, Det, you're not on our team anymore, but don't be a stranger. You know, you're here every day. I want you in our clubhouse still."
Right,
You know,
yeah.
There's still a lot of camaraderie between all these guys, and Det's still a team favorite. As the 3-0 pitch to Fontaine is lifted into center field, James, moving to his left, will track that one down.
Well, I think you just hit on the main subject there with Detweiler. He's a very popular player, obviously being a local guy from this area, having built a real strong fan base, and then having a wonderful start to a season last year where I was here and witnessed him launching 2 balls close to the tennis courts to left field here. A very popular player, and I'm sure his teammates are happy to see him getting an opportunity to play a little bit more, but at the same time, it is a competitive environment, and they are more than willing to go out here and compete and try and do what they do best, which is score a lot of runs and put a lot of runs up on the board.
As the first pitch from Michael Hova gets in there, but also Det still in the minds of many of his teammates as Hova is going to ground this one up the middle. To his left is Wittig. A nice defensive play there, and he'll be in time to get Hova at first. We'll get right back with that story. Pacifics go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first, still scoreless here through 1. We're moving to the top of the second. We'll be right back here on Marin Television.
If your program is signed by Derek Hale, you've just won a $25.
My name is Mariah Chinchilla, and I'm a senior at Dominican University. When I graduate, I want to be a web and media producer.
My name is Daniel Williams. I go to the University of Puget Sound, and I want to work in the baseball industry.
Zach Busson, Dominican University, and I want to be a garment manufacturer.
The name's Vela, Sam Vela. I'm a junior at Dominican University of California. When I graduate, I plan on trying out for professional soccer teams in Europe.
My name is Graham Hooper. I go to the San Francisco Flex Academy, and I want to be a baseball broadcaster.
Jana McCarroll, I go to Dominican University, and I am interested in pursuing media arts.
My name is Spencer Clark. I go to the University of Arizona, and I want to be a composer.
Nadia Green, Dominican University of California, and I'd like to go into PR and marketing.
Hi, my name is Rennie Shapiro. I go to Tam High School, and I'd love to be an ESPN anchor when I'm older.
Terrific partners with the Pacifics.
And moving on to the top of the second inning, still scoreless here between the Lumberjacks and the Pacifics. Christian Scholl coming out to pitch here. He went 1-2-3 to the Lumberjacks in the top of the first. We'll see if he can continue that strong rhythm here in the second inning. Benny Longo alongside Charles Scott, the president, CEO, instructor, pretty much everything of Future Prospects Baseball, here to bring you this game 1 of, well, a 1-game series between these two teams. And it was kind of a late schedule fill-in. The Pacifics were supposed to be playing the Explorers from Arizona, but due to some scheduling conflicts, the Explorers were unable to make it to San Rafael. So the Lumberjacks, fortunately, were available and gave the Pacifics a contest here on this beautiful Tuesday night.
Well, I think, Vinny, the most important thing is that we're getting an opportunity here to see some baseball. We're getting the fans are here, and they're here to see their Pacifics play, and you know, that's the main thing.
Mike Hove standing in, a very new acquisition by the Lumberjacks. As the 1-1 pitch to him, waved out and missed. He hasn't been particularly close to a pitch yet. And earlier during batting practice, Kevin Reinking in the Pacific's dugout was wondering who he was, and I said, "Who are you talking about?" He said, "The guy who just blocked out the sun when he walked by." Hove's a very imposing presence. He didn't miss that one by much, fouling it straight back.
Well, Scholl out in front now with a two-strike, no-ball count right now. This is a great opportunity for him to throw something off the plate. Batter has taken 2 wild swings at pitches that really were not close to the strike zone, so this is a great opportunity for him to continue to expand the zone and see if he can get him to chase.
Yes, he may have wasted a pitch there. It was out of the zone, didn't have a ton of movement. And Scholl working very quickly as of late, gets him to swing and miss for his first strikeout of the day. And Matt Quintero electing to go the other way to first base because of the sun in Kyle Donani's eyes. I think after a few times of Kyle Donani losing the ball out of the shadows during this night game, Matt Quintero decided to go to school a little bit and go the other way because Johnny Woodard is in the shadows, and so is Quintero. Donani, Scholl, Fontaine, and Gonzalez all in the sun down the left side. As the first pitch to Detweiler is going to be fouled off. Detweiler,
friendly exchange of smiles between the two players here, obviously being ex-teammates. Threw him a fastball right down the middle and gave him a chance to swing it, and Detweiler just missed it.
Well, he threw a sinker there and it missed down low, 1-1. Detweiler, before he went to the Lumberjacks, was hitting 160 and 25 at-bats. He's had 5 at-bats for them. That came last Thursday as he chops that one foul. And he got 1 hit out of that. It brings his season average to right around 170 in that ballpark area. And as I was saying before the break, Pacific's intern Megan Castellucci is producing a rapid-fire question segment where she asks the Pacific's players a lot of questions as Detweiler grounds this one through the right side and into right field for a base hit. So Detweiler gets the first hit of the ball game period. And he's aboard with 1 away in the top of the second.
Well, Detweiler getting off to a good start here. His first at bat, he gets a base hit to right field, and first inning on the mound, he got 3 up, 3 down. So he's probably feeling pretty good about himself at this point.
So now Mike Taylor, who Pacific's fans will remember is very dangerous. He homered off of David Slovak in the exhibition game, but also last week took Casey Russell deep for a grand slam. And that was a huge moment.
Slightly open stance, carries his hands very high.
As Scholl gets the first pitch strike in there. But as I was saying about the rapid fire segments, one of the questions is team prankster, and the idea is the first person that comes to your mind, who is the team prankster? And I watched a couple of the segments today, and a good 4 or 5 of the players still said Detweiler.
Yeah.
Because when he was on the team, that was his reputation.
Well, that was going to be my guess. I would assume that Detweiler, being a local guy and knowing the area as well as he does, has been the main character in the dugout as well as the locker room, and keeps his teammates on their feet and on their toes, and creates a real lighthearted atmosphere.
Well, pretty much every time there's a walkout home run, he's the one coming out with the shaving cream pie. He's lit president and general manager Mike Shapiro's shoelaces on fire on one occasion as Taylor lines this one into center for a base hit.
Real good piece of hitting right there by Taylor, keeping his hands inside the ball and squaring that ball up and driving it to straightaway center for a solid hit.
So Scholl's in a little bit of trouble here in the second inning, and honestly, with all the roster moves that Tom McCarry and Roland Nazar have made with the East Bay Lumberjacks, their lineup is looking a heck of a lot more imposing than it did in the past. Justin James, the leading hitter in the Pacific Association, in the 3rd spot. Mike Hoves, we haven't seen a lot of him yet, but he's a huge presence there in the cleanup spot. And then Detweiler and Taylor, that's a pretty solid 3 through 6 spot.
Yeah, well, just looking at their roster and looking at the bodies of the players, they definitely look a lot more athletic than what I saw the last time I saw the squad. So, with that athleticism comes better pool of talent, and they definitely look to be a little bit stronger team than what I saw in the past.
Toby Raday White standing in at the plate, one of the better hitters pre all the signings. White standing in it with a 231 average as he chops this one to third. Donani fields it just on the fair by side, steps on third for 1, over to first for 2. Kyle Donani with a tricky play that he made look fairly easy there, and that gets Scholl out of the jam in the top of the first. 2 hits, 1 runner stranded for the East Bay Lumberjacks in the top of that inning, still scoreless. Moving to the bottom of the second, you're watching Pacific's baseball on Marin television.
What has CMCM given to me.
The Marin Community Media Center is a place where I get to be creative.
CMCM has allowed our youth to participate in filming community events.
Extraordinarily high quality training.
I'm more engaged in the community.
You get to meet all kinds of people.
It really fulfills me.
It's a very, very supportive environment.
Community media is about us. Community media is about you.
Where it's our voice.
We are the voice of the people.
Without community media, where's the local voice? Where's the local diversity?
If we want to see this happening and continuing as such a great service, we need to support it.
Support your local media center because you'll be a better citizen if you do.
Support your local media center because your ideas matter.
Because it's important for our youth. Because it's vital.
Because it's invaluable.
And 6 hitters for the San Rafael Pacifics in the bottom of the second inning. Johnny Woodard, Cal Donani, and Danny Gonzalez all getting set to come up. Vinny Longo alongside Charles Scott. Steve Detweiler on the mound worked some magic in the first inning with his knuckleball. And it could be the deception from the light right now. Detweiler is completely in the sunlight while the batters are in the shade. And that can definitely make any pitch more tricky to pick up, let alone the knuckleball.
Yeah, Alberts Park is notorious this time of day with regard to the shades and the shadows from the sunlight at this point. So definitely an advantage to the pitcher early in the game, but once again, things tend to balance themselves out as the game progresses.
And the great thing about Detweiler as a knuckleballer is that you're not going to see the same thing the second time up that you did the first time.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, baseball wisdom says the second or third time through the order against a starter, you're going to get better looks. You've already seen his pitches unless he was able to save them for later in the game. So you'll get better at bats. But with Detweiler as a knuckleballer, the ball is never going to do the same thing twice.
Well, yeah, that's generally the truth about any pitcher. As you tend to go through the order the second or third time through, hitters make adjustments. They figure out the velocity, they figure out the arm slot, they figure out the delivery of pitchers, and they tend to have much better balance and timing their second and third time through the order. Not necessarily the truth with knuckleballers because knuckleballers rely so much on movement and deception. So deception is one thing that can always throw a hitter's timing off.
As Detweiler pitches to Johnny Woodard, he missed the first one. Comes back with a fastball to strike. And here's the thing about Detweiler. He has 4 different speeds of knuckleballs. Fast, slow, normal, and ephus, which isn't really an ephus pitch, but it's slow as molasses.
Right.
And that was it right there as Woodard chopped it foul.
Yeah.
It's impossible to keep on top of it. And then Detweiler's fastball tops out in the high 70s. Maybe he's touched low 80s a couple of times.
Right.
But after that ephus pitch, if he came back with a fastball right now, it would look like it's about 120 miles an hour.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, throwing those slow knuckleballs and having the ball move the way it does and then countering that with a fastball, even if it is in the high 70s, it looks triple the speed of what it normally would look. So that is definitely one of the advantages that you'll have with knuckleballers a lot of the time. And as I mentioned earlier, they really focus more on deception and movement than they do on pure stuff.
And even from our perspective there in the broadcast booth, that pitch looked to be way fast compared to his knuckleballs. I mean, that was incredibly fast with the fastball there.
Yeah,
so he was able to strike Johnny Woodard out.
You'll tend to see some batters look quite silly at some of the swings too, because once again, hitters focus on timing, rhythm, and balance, and when those things are thrown off by movement and deception, that works out to the advantage of the pitcher.
Shadows are starting to creep more towards Detweiler now. Still an elongated shadow from the sun behind the mound. 2 called strikes on 2 knuckleballs there. That's kind of a rarity. And it looks like his knuckleball is working pretty well for him tonight.
Well, that's another key point to pitching in general, and especially with knuckleballers, because of the movement, a lot of the times they are unable to keep the ball consistently in the strike zone. Detweiler doing a very good job of throwing the knuckleball for strikes this evening, and when you can do that, just as with any other pitch, the advantage is to the pitcher.
I mean, he said before the game, obviously this is what pretty much every pitcher says, but I'm going to try and attack the strike zone. As Donani chops this one to short, Wittig on the backhand. The throw is high, and it gets right by Eves there, and Donani's going to be aboard, and the ball actually goes out of play, so Donani's going to get to second base. So more fielding.
I'm
roles
here
from
with
the
this
Lumberjacks,
kid who
something
likes to
we
bother
saw
the
a lot
camera
of in the
people.
series last
Well,
week
tell
between
us,
the Pacifics
kid.
and the Jacks. And it continues here, one away in the bottom of the second inning. Kyle Donani now standing on second.
Well,
Danny Gonzalez at the plate.
Donani with a heads-up play there. He saw that the throw was going to be offline and that it was going to pull the first baseman down the line, and did a smart thing by diving head first and diving out of the way of the first baseman, obviously reaching the bag safely and then being awarded second base on the overthrow.
So Detweiler out of the stretch for the first time. We'll see how he reacts. As Donani's going on the first pitch, Gonzalez drives this one into right field. That's going to be a base hit. Donani is coming around. He will score. Gonzalez digging hard for second to throw in. He is beat by a long shot. So Danny Gonzalez gets the RBI single, but tries to stretch it into a double. And Andre White, excuse me, shows off the cannon there. He showed it off last week and does it again to get Danny Gonzalez out.
Well, there's White with that athleticism that we talked about, you know, a big, strong physical presence in the box, but also a very reliable and dependable fielder, too, with a very strong arm. Threw that ball on the line all the way to second base, and was an easy play for the second or shortstop to tag out Gonzalez.
So Mac Quintero at the plate. First pitch fastball for a strike from Detweiler. That still looks ridiculously fast from our perspective.
It does look fast.
And actually, I've caught a couple of pens for Detweiler.
Yeah.
When the team went to Hawaii, the Pacifics, I mean, this is back when he was a Pacific, Detweiler elected to stay here to allow a couple of his teammates to go instead because he figured they would be more used to the team out of the bullpen as the team had some double headers over there. But Det and I played a lot of catch. We worked a couple of bullpens, about 5 over the 2 weeks, as Quintero swung over top of that one. And I tell you, I was totally shocked by his knuckleball a couple of times. One of them actually hit me in the foot so hard that I was limping for a couple of days.
Well, that knuckleball that he just threw right there was outstanding. It had great life in the hitting zone, just dove right out of the strike zone, and batter swung right over the top of it. So he definitely has an idea of what he's doing out there. As I've mentioned, he's throwing lots of strikes, throwing the knuckleball for strikes, and generally speaking, with knuckleballers, they generally get into trouble a lot of the times when they're unable to throw that knuckleball for strikes, and he's been able to do that.
Well, this one bounces into the gap in right center field. Quintero digging for 2. He'll have himself a stand-up double. That one kind of hung up there, and Quintero wasn't fooled. Detweiler didn't change up the speeds enough on that knuckleball, I think. Quintero was sitting right on it. It was the slower one. Not the eephus, but the slow from Detweiler. And he was able to take it into right center field. A great piece of hitting. Taking the outside pitch the opposite way, and he gets himself in scoring position.
That pitch right there was exactly the opposite of the one that he had thrown previous. That ball hung up in the strike zone and had hit me all over it. So not a real difficult pitch to hit when it stays up in the zone and has less movement. When he can get that ball to dive down out of the strike zone, as the one he threw prior to that, that's when he's going to have his success.
And Detweiler having a little bit of fortune going his way. Earlier in the day, the wind was blowing in from left center field, which is exactly the opposite of what Detweiler wants. Right now, not quite blowing out, but very close to doing so. And what the wind blowing out does is it allows the knuckleball to be caught by it, and it knocks it straight down. If it's blowing in, it keeps the knuckleball flat and allows it to be hit.
Yeah, the wind plays a major factor with regard to the spin and the rotation of the ball. So depending on which direction that wind is working will dramatically affect a knuckleballer's pitch.
Well, Detweiler's throw to first was a little bit high, but it was in time to get the speedy pace. So the Pacifics scored 1 run on 2 hits and strand 1 runner on base. But it's enough to take a lead 1-0. We're going to go to the top of the third. Centerville Pacifics and East Bay Lumberjacks playing here on Marin Television.
What's at stake today?
Playoffs.
Yeah.
And we're in. It's the last game of the season.
Who are you playing?
Oakland. We've beat them once in the past 4 years. But that was the last time we played them.
Everyone knows where they're playing, right?
Everybody's stretched.
No lineup card. How you feel, Butch? Good.
Do you have all your good players?
Most of them.
Who's missing?
Well, we had a guy last year, Grit, who came out from New York. He played with us. And he pitched. He really helped out. We'll see.
This looks sort of hazardous right here, doesn't it? Jeez. I can depend on you to catch this, right? Whoa, jeez. So do you guys ever practice?
Before the season, yeah.
I see. I don't think I'm going to stand here too much longer.
Stop. Tyler, who now plays at UCLA, but bringing him into the locker room and having Tyler sit in his lounge chair with his double lockers and playing PlayStation against Barry and things of that nature. So very, very grateful for the generosity and the great friendship that Barry and I have had over the years, and just the way he's treated me and my family.
Well, it's good to get that other perspective of Barry, because a lot of times all we get is what the mainstream media gives us, which is kind of that very prickly demeanor. And, you know, there is that other side to him that you don't get to hear about too often. It's a great thing to hear that he does have that side. And
well, I think with most of us, it really depends on who's telling the story. You know what I mean? When you have a relationship with a person, you tend to get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's, you know, there's always generally going to be a lot more good involved in that. You know, Barry's definitely had his moments with not only the press, but also with me as well. I mean, he's a strong personality, as I mentioned earlier, but there's no doubt that he definitely has a very giving side and a very open heart, and is a good guy. Is a good guy.
Well, it's Matt Lucchese standing in to start off the top of the third against Christian Scholl. Scholl working very quickly today. This one grounded to the left side, a nice, well, almost a nice nab by Roland Nazar. I jumped the gun a little bit there. It was a good attempt, at least.
I know that's hurting Roland's hand right now. As a third base coach, you catch a bare ball like that and you want to play it off. You don't want to show the fans that it's stinging your hand, but I guarantee you it is.
Well, Woodard makes a nice play, and Scholl apparently misses the base. His right foot kind of skirted right around it. Woodard made the throw on the run, and Scholl was not able to corral it and keep himself on balance there. And the official score is going to rule that a hit. So the third hit for the Lumberjacks on the day, with nobody aboard. Lucchese's on first.
That's the second play that's involved Scholl covering first base, where there's been a little bit of a mishap. I think that he's definitely not taking the proper angles. He needs to get down the line a little bit quicker and then run up the line and give himself more of a direct line toward the bag. Woodard made a great play there and flicked the ball, and it was a bang-bang play, so it was something that needed to be done quickly. But I think Scholl can definitely take a better route to first base and allow himself to be in a better position to tag the bag.
So Mark Lukoch standing in his first at-bat as a Lumberjack. He's one of two Lumberjacks debuting tonight. Mike Hoves is the other one, hitting cleanup. He already struck out against Scholl. Lucchese with good speed for a catcher is on first base. And Scholl misses down below the zone with a fastball. A rarity from him, working into a 2-0 count. And the scouting report on Lukoch says that he's a good hitter, and anytime you get a good hitter, you don't want to fall behind 2-0. You don't want to fall behind 2-0 on pretty much anybody.
Yeah, 2-0 count, a 2-ball, no-strike count is definitely a hitter's count, and what hitters are trying to generally do in that situation is they're isolating one particular side of the plate, one particular part of the plate, one particular pitch, and it's a count where unless the ball is thrown in the exact location and the exact pitch that you're expecting, you don't swing. And generally speaking, when it is thrown in those areas, then the hitter has the advantage and is more likely to square the ball up.
Well, he's in a 3-1 count now, which is more or less the same situation. He's come back with all fastballs since falling behind, so you can bet Lukoch is sitting fastball, and he gets this one and fouls it straight into the Lumberjacks bullpen. So Scholl's working himself back to a full count, 3-2. And credit to him for doing that, and at the same time, not giving Lukoch a fat piece of something to hit.
And given the swing that you just saw there, a 3-1 count, which once again is a hitter's count, and having that hitter foul that ball off to the opposite side of the field when it's a fastball down the middle, I think he would definitely come back with a challenge fastball here and challenge the hitter.
Well, he does, and Lukoch fouls this one away as well. Scholl is standing in the shadows. Now the shadows have reached him. Donani is oh so close to the reprieve of not being in the glare of the sunlight anymore at third base. I give that about 10-15 more minutes. Fontaine still has to deal with it for the next couple of innings, at least in left field, as does Rade White on the Lumberjack side. Lucchese not going at first. Lukoch grounds this one to second. Kendall tags Lucchese for one. The relay to first, and a double play. So Bryce Kendall kind of bails out Christian Scholl there, and just like that, they're two away in the top of the third.
And Bryce Kendall doing a very good job. And in that situation, a lot of times with the runner on first, you'll see the middle infielders move into what they call double play depth, where there's shade more toward the second base. What Kendall did there is he stayed home because he had a left-handed batter at the plate, and he knew that there was a chance that the ball might be hit pulled more toward the right side of the field. So a good heads-up play by him by positioning himself in a position where he knew the ball would be hit, and as a result of that was able to turn the double play easily.
As Wittig drags this one, Donani charging the throw on to first. That's in time. Donani showing off the cannon. And that's good enough to get Wittig at first to retire the side in the third. The Lumberjacks get a hit. He's erased by a double play. And they strand nobody. Still 1-0 Pacifics. We're moving to the bottom of the third inning. You're watching San Rafael Pacific's baseball on Marin TV.
Right here.
Where is here?
Go, Peter! 10-1. Let's give that back a 1 run. But we're going to win 10 for sure. So,
how do you like baseball so far, huh?
He was hoping to see you.
Go. Let's continue.
Good at it. Get it there.
Peter's up.
Go, Peter.
Yeah, Peter. There he is. That looked outside to me. What do you think, Jasper?
So I'll take a little infield. They'll take a little infield. We're ready to go. 44 ounces. 10 ounces lighter than, or heavier than what the MLB players use. Yeah. So he makes all the contact balls come off.
Do you have a favorite?
Yes.
Which one? Are they all the same though?
They're all pretty close. Some of them don't have knobs, you can see. Some of them are a little lighter.
Uh-huh. Got it.
Sweet, that's the old stuff,
Yeah.
And we're ready for the bottom of the third inning here. It's going to be the bottom of the order, and then the top is Morgan Micken is going to be leading off for the San Rafael Pacifics. Recently activated, in fact, activated today from the inactive list, was Micken. He was brought in as a replacement for Jamie McGraw, who was basically the Pacific's fourth outfielder, a defensive upgrade, and basically someone to come in the late innings to do some defensive work, but he wasn't hitting a lot. He was below the Mendoza line at 200. So Morgan Micken, who recently graduated from University in Texas, basically was brought in because he was scouted by Jeff Russell as having an excellent hitting ability. The first pitch from Detweiler comes in for a strike, so he's attacking the strike zone again, and that's good to see from Det.
Really good game.
Well, the 0-1 pitch. This one's grounded up the middle. It's going to be Lucox over to his right. The throw on to first. Just in time there. Micken was speeding down the line.
Lucox doing a very good job of getting around the ball and getting in position to throw the ball back toward first base. The only mistake that he made there is he took a little bit too long in getting rid of the ball and made that play a lot closer than what it should have been.
Well, a lot of Pacific's base runners will really surprise you with their speed. Detweiler actually showed that. He's not a Pacific anymore, but last Thursday when he hit a single down the right field line and got by Michael Hova, I didn't think a guy that big could move that quick. Detweiler was about 6'3", 250.
Right.
And he got from first to third in a good 4 or 5 seconds. It was impressive.
Well, these guys are athletes, you know. That's the one thing about professional baseball. You don't get to this point unless you have some level of athleticism. So these guys are all athletes. They take a lot of pride in what they do here. They're here trying to create opportunities for themselves to get back into organized ball, and they're going to give it everything they have.
As Detweiler missed a little bit high with that one. The second pitch to Kendall is fouled off. It's going to be first baseman Hove's giving chase. He can't get there as it's in the bullpen. So that was a good way for Detweiler to come back. I mean, it was a little bit of a hanger, but with a knuckleball, that's okay. But after he pretty much missed everything about 3 feet high, it's good to at least say that he came into the strike zone with that one.
Well, I think, once again, what you're talking about, a knuckleball pitcher, they're constantly trying to find that release point and constantly trying to figure out from pitch to pitch where they need to release that ball in order to get the best effect. So Detweiler's no different, trying to get that ball down in the zone and trying to get it to do what it's supposed to do, which is dive in and out of this hitting zone.
As Kendall gets himself a single up the middle, credit to Justin James, rather. I almost said Jesse James, not quite the same. But Justin James, who tried to make a good sliding catch, and it just kind of short hopped him a little bit, probably had a little top spin off the bat there.
And Kendall doing a great job, piece of hitting right there. I mean, that ball did have good sinking action in it, and he stuck with it and stayed over the plate and pushed his hands through the ball and leveled it off and hit a line drive to center field.
So Detweiler again in the stretch, the third hit for the Pacifics tonight. They're in the second time through the order. Chase Fontaine flew out to James in his first time up, and he swings at the first pitch and pops this one right at Wittig, the shortstop. He has to move into the sun. We'll see if that messes with him. And moving back, he makes the catch there. That was interesting, as Wittig had to move right into the sole patch of sunlight still remaining on the infield, and that's a challenge to deal with at this moment.
Doing a good job of shading his eyes with his glove, and then also using the sunglasses that he has on too right now.
So Michael Hova at the plate. He grounded out to Wittig in his first at-bat. Hova hits .350 when he's DHing as he is tonight. Detweiler's first pitch to him is in the dirt. Lucchese smothers it. You know, Detweiler from the stretch is not nearly as effective as he is from the windup. This is something I noticed when I was doing bullpen sessions with him, is that his knuckleball has a little bit less bite to it. His fastball definitely has a lot less velocity, and his curveball isn't as sharp.
Well, a lot of it has to do with trying to be a little bit quicker to the plate when holding a runner on too. You know, you still have to give your catcher an opportunity and a chance to throw a would-be base runner out. And with Bryce Kendall on first base, obviously he wants to be quick to the plate and give him less of a chance to get a better jump. So,
you know, Kendall is tied for the team lead with 15 stolen bases. He and Kyle Donani, but Donani more of a smart base stealer. Kendall just a pure speed demon on first.
Right.
Detweiler and him taking a long look as Hova lines this one straight up the middle, and that's good for a base hit. Michael Hova was not fooled at all by the fastball. He's probably just sitting on it, waiting for Detweiler to come back with it, and he hit a shot right at the middle, and that was good for a base hit.
Once again, an advantage to the hitter when he's ahead in the count. Once again, you have an opportunity to isolate particular pitches, particular locations, and generally speaking, excuse me, when hitters do that, their percentage of being successful at the plate goes way up.
Hova's really gotten a lot harder over the last few weeks, really. He started the season below 300, now up to 318, a little bit better after that hit, as he's really turned it on. He's also right up there in the Pacific Association. In fact, #2 in runs batted in.
Well, Hova's a very good hitter. I mean, he's an established hitter, obviously the MVP of this league last season. You're not going to keep a good hitter down for long. I mean, he's a confident hitter, a very powerful hitter, and I think you'll see him pick those numbers up as the season progresses.
So Detweiler comes in with the knuckleball there. That's good for a strike. Woodard struck out in his first at-bat. Detweiler came in with a couple of knuckleballs and then showed the fastball, which to Woodard just totally blew him away. It looked like it was 100 miles an hour. And Detweiler trying the same script again. Misses outside and high this time. Detweiler's game plan usually, and this is not atypical with knuckleballers, is about 75% knuckleballs, 20% fastballs, 5% curveballs.
Yeah.
And the reason he doesn't throw the curveball that much, it's a filthy pitch. It's absolutely disgusting. And a late time called there as Detweiler was in his motion and kind of just threw it behind him.
Yeah, I think the ball squirted out. I think that was definitely going to be a knuckleball. He had the fingers squinched up, and I think he just lost his grip there when he tried to stop his motion.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does there. He just kind of gave away what pitch he's throwing if Woodard is paying close enough attention. So we'll see if he comes back fastball or if Woodard's sitting with it. Comes back with a knuckler. That's good for a strike. That was Detweiler's normal knuckleball, as he likes to call it. His fast knuckleball, it doesn't move a lot, but it's so deceptive because when a pitcher gets a good amount of speed on the fastball, you can hear the seams rotate, and you can hear the ball rotating, or you think you hear it rotating because it's moving through the air fast enough as Woodard fouls this one away. But it's deceptively tough to hit.
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of the knuckleball, obviously. We're talking about trying to create movement and keep the hitters off balance. And when you're able to throw that different speeds and different looks with that same pitch and create different angles with your arm slot, those are all things that benefit the pitcher and help keep the batters off balance.
So Kendall's from second, Hova's from first. Woodard drives this one into deep left field where Day White's giving it chase. He's at the line, a diving catch. will end the inning for the Pacifics. A great play by Toby Raday-White in left field saves at least one run there. And we have an interview on the sideline. We're going to send it down there. It's with Derek Hale. Take it away.
Derek Hale's my man. Derek Hale.
Hi, I'm Janet. Hello, everybody. My name is Janet McCarroll, and I'm here at the Pacifics game with Marin TV. And I'm here with one of the Pacifics players. Introduce yourself.
I'm Derek Hale from Downey, California.
Awesome. And what position do you play?
I play infield, a little bit of DH.
Okay, very nice. Now, for those who don't know, please tell them what DH is.
That's a designated hitter. All he gets to do is hit. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, very nice. So I guess you spend a lot of time at the batting cages.
A lot of time at the batting cages or the beach.
The beach?
Yeah.
Are you a surfer?
I love the beach and swimming with all the great white sharks.
Oh my gosh, well that's awesome and very brave. But so how did you come to the Pacifics?
So I got the call from Mike Marshall last year. I happened to be blessed and get that call to come play here last year, and they actually picked up my contract, and so I got to play here again, and hopefully we get another championship like last year.
Oh, very, very nice. So where were you playing before this?
Before this, I was playing down in Puerto Peñasco in Mexico.
Wow, oh my gosh, do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito.
I have no idea what that means.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Okay, just a little bit enough to trick me up. Okay. Okay, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and go Pacifics, hell yeah.
Woo!
Bank of Marin has won Best of Marin.
Well, thank you so much, Janet. Interviewing Derek Hale and doing a great job of it, Derek. Getting the night off tonight is Michael Hova getting the DH duties. And Brian Pretty going with a little bit more speed in the outfield. And I actually asked him about that before the game. I said, you know you have a knuckleballer or a Detweiler on the mound. What kind of approach are you going to take? And he said, well, I'm thinking about Micken in right field because that gives us more speed on the base paths. Shouldn't we be able to get a runner on? Detweiler's obviously slow to the plate, so we're going to be able to steal some bases off of him, and also we're going to need as much running as we can get because the hits we're going to be getting aren't going to be solid contact.
Well, that's a smart manager taking advantage of his roster, his entire roster. I mean, you know, baseball is a game of matchups as well, just like most sports are, and you know, Price doing a good job of looking down into the situation here and utilizing his roster to its fullest.
So it's going to be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Lumberjacks in the top of the 4th inning. Andre White, Justin James, and Mike Hoves. As Christian Scholl is now pretty much in the shadows, although his hand will still be in the sunlight as he releases the ball. And the first pitch to Andre White, that's a fastball missing low for a ball. That's at the top of the 4th inning starts. Scholl falling behind a hitter again. That's very atypical for him. So we'll see whether he's able to get out of this kind of slump he's going through. As this one's grounded up the middle. Kendall will not be able to get there as he was moving to his right. As White actually misses the bag at first base as he went by it and now touches it, but I don't know if Woodard noticed that. That was the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a strange incident there. Not often that you see a hitter run down to first base and forget to tag the base, especially on a base hit, when there's really no threat of trying to you know, take the extra base there. I mean, he basically jogged down the line knowing that he had a clean base hit to center field, and still for some reason missed the first base.
Well, Justin James standing in, first pitch swinging, lifts this one into medium deep left field. Fontaine will get there, and James is out. He's 0 for 2 on the day now. Very rare retirements of him. He's hitting .331 on the year coming into this game, and since he joined the Lumberjacks, had been hitting a little bit slower, .300.
Still hitting at a pretty consistent clip, though. You know, so he's definitely a guy that they're looking in their lineup to help infuse some more offense.
Well, Mike Hove standing in. He struck out in his first at-bat. Didn't look all that impressive doing so. But he has a tall, imposing presence. If he can get a hold of one, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go a long way. Scholl's first pitch to him. This one's lined on the ground. Gonzalez chops it down. And Kendall able to relay it over the first for the double play. So a solid defensive effort from Danny Gonzalez, keeping it with him. Is able to turn another double play behind Christian Scholl. That's the 3rd of the day. And that's at the top of the 4th end. We're through 3.5 here at Albert Park. We're going to move to the bottom of the 4th
Hi, I'm Graham Hooper.
And I'm Nadia Green.
Welcome to the Pacific's baseball game recap, brought to you by Marin TV and Dominican University.
Today we're recapping the game on Thursday, July 4th, 2013.
The Santa Fe Pacific saw their home game winning streak broken on this Independence Day game with an 11-3 loss to the Maui Nakoa Ika Ika. The Pacific starter Christian Scholl was on the mound for the Pacifics, but he got into trouble early, especially from Maui's Ray Serrano, who was 2 for 4 against him on the day with 2 doubles. The first came with the bases loaded in the top of the first, scoring 2 runs. In the bottom of the first, the Pacific struck back on Michael Hova's single, scoring Price Kendall, but it wasn't enough. In the top of the second, Scholl contributed to the problem with a wild pitch, which allowed Maui's Jeremy Williams to score from third base, which increased the Hawaiian lead to 5 runs.
A silver lining on Thursday night's loss was the debut by Pacific's newest acquisition, Morgan Mikan. The outfielder from Texas was 2 for 4 with a single to shallow left in the 7th and got his first RBI on a double that scored Danny Gonzalez in the 9th. It always feels good to get your first hit, says Mikan.
But the Pacifics went down 11-3, handing Maui the glory on this holiday classic matchup. That's it for this game recap. I'm Graham Hooper.
And I'm Nadia Green. You can find our live TV schedule online at cmcm.tv/camp. Also, learn more about this sports broadcast training program. See you next time.
Seven hitters for the Pacifics. In the bottom of the 4th inning, blood on the leaves by Kanye West, bringing Kyle Donani up to the plate for the Pacifics. Donani on the day scored the Pacifics' lone run on the day. He reached on an error by Joe Wittig, and then moved to second as the ball went out of play. And then he was able to score on the Danny Gonzalez single. And that's the only run in this game. It's an unearned run, as Detweiler has been pitching very, very well, perhaps giving the Pacifics doubts about whether they should have pitched him when he was on their team.
Yeah, he's definitely come out here and represented himself in a positive manner. He's kept these Pacific batters off balance and has done a good job of throwing strikes and varying the speeds of his knuckleball, and up to this point has only given up 4 hits. I don't believe he's walked a batter up to this point, so he's limiting the opportunities for the Pacifics, and seems to be doing a very good job.
Donani takes a big cut at that one and misses. That was a healthy swing from Donani, who he often swings like that. You know, General Manager Mike Shapiro likes to say that Price Kendall's never cheated out of a swing. Well, Kyle Donani, pretty much in the same school book there.
Right.
Likes to swing hard, and when he gets a hold of one, it goes a long way. The 1-2 pitch, Donani able to catch up to the fastball and foul it right towards the Kirby Cove area. And the count will remain 1-2.
Yeah, Donani, I really like his actions. I like him in the field as a defensive player, and I really like him at the plate. Has a very quality swing, a very hard worker, one of the players that comes over and utilizes our facility on a regular basis and gets a lot of extra hacks in and gets a lot of swings and really seems to have a calm presence about himself at the plate. One of the things that you look for in hitters is you look for confidence and you look for guys that tend to be really comfortable in the batter's box, and he's definitely a hitter that has shown those types of tendencies.
The one tendency that Donani does have that isn't perhaps the most positive tendency is he does strike out a lot, as that was his 45th strikeout on the year in 196 at-bats. So he is a free swinger. He does take a big hack, and because of that, he will strike out.
Right.
That's Detweiler's second strikeout of the day, and that's the first out of the bottom of the 4th.
Well, part of being a corner position player is realizing what your role is. And generally speaking, when you play on the corners, either first base, third base, left field, or right field, those are run-producing type positions. So you're going to see players that tend to swing a little bit harder and have a little bit more lift in their swings that play those positions, because the truth be told, their main purpose is to hit the ball on the other side of the fence.
Well, ironically, Danny Gonzalez, one of the better run producers for the Pacific's team on this year. 41 RBIs on the year for the Pacific shortstop, who started out the year red hot, gap shooting pretty much every single game, and he was leading the team in RBIs for a while until Price Kendall and Michael Hova caught up. As Detweiler has fallen behind 3-1 to him now. And this is a situation when Det and I were doing our bullpens, where Det always said, you know, 3-1, I have to come in with a fastball. And it's unfortunate because his spike curveball that he throws, kind of Cliff Lee style, is very good when he tries to throw it over the inside corner. And he does it very well. He snaps his wrist and it just hits the inside corner, but unfortunately he came back with the fastball to Gonzalez, and now it's outside of the zone. So that's Detweiler's first walk on the day. Again, very good for a knuckleballer. When you see successful knuckleballers, they limit the walks. I mean, that's true for any pitcher, but knuckleballers especially because the ball is so erratic out of their hand.
Yeah, knuckleballers rely so much on movement, so therefore the ball tends to move a lot of the times out of the strike zone, which can at times be an advantage, but also when you're not able to throw the other pitches for strikes and obviously not able to get the knuckleball over for strikes, it creates problems. So Detweiler's done a very good job of controlling his pitches this evening, being consistent with all of them and throwing plenty of strikes, and you know, just got a little bit behind in the count there and walked Gonzalez.
As Detweiler showing off his pickoff move, I think that was his best one. He stepped off the mound once he was set, and Gonzalez was able to get back safely. He didn't have a great lead, although Gonzalez is a great base stealer. A lot of speed at the shortstop position as he's checking on him again.
Detweiler, having been a teammate of these Pacific players, obviously knows their tendencies and knows who runs well and knows who is an aggressive base runner. So obviously knowing that Gonzalez is a very good base runner here is doing a good job of trying to keep him close.
As Quintero pops up a fastball, Oves is giving a chase in foul territory, and he's there to make the catch. Gonzalez lifted his foot off first base as if he was going to tag, but the ball was about 20 feet away from him. I don't think he was going anywhere.
Yeah.
Count's now 0-2, and that'll bring up Zach Pace in the 8th spot in the order.
Now batting for your Pacifics, it's the Zach.
You know, something that Roland Nazar, Lumberjacks manager, said to Detweiler before the game was, I know you're going to give up base runners, you're a knuckleballer, that's going to happen. But if they steal bases on you, I'm going to start getting work in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And Detweiler definitely doesn't want Gonzalez going as he checks over again.
Well, Detweiler's definitely done his job. We're entering in here to the bottom half of the 4th inning right now, and he's definitely done a good job of giving his team an opportunity to stay in this game and give them an opportunity to compete and win. He's only given up 1 run up to this point, and as you mentioned earlier, that's an unearned run that was scored. So Detweiler has definitely done his job.
As Lucchese back picks Gonzalez, who was dancing off of first base, maybe thinking a delayed steal, but Gonzalez gets picked off, and that's how the bottom of the 4th and the 4th inning in general ends. The Pacifics are still leading this one 1-0. They strand at nobody, and Zach Pace will be coming up again when the 5th inning comes to play. Pacifics are leading 1-0. We'll be right back here on Marin Television.
Our contestants are Wyatt and Jack.
And you would be?
I'm the sir.
The sir?
Sir, yes.
How do you do, sir? The sir umpire?
Yes, sir.
You're undertaker in another life, is that it? Or?
That is the profession, yes. I'm choosing.
Who supplies the cigars?
Today I brought my own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's next Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Calling the game.
Cool, all right. Well, tell me about the balls and the strikes and the rules and all that stuff.
So balls and strikes is a little different than modern day baseball. There's a low strike zone, there's a high strike zone, and there's both combined. And so the striker gets to decide whether he'd like low strikes, high strikes, or he just likes it over the plate and he can swing at anything. And so
You call him a striker, not a batter?
that is correct.
Huh.
And there are 7 balls for a walk.
7?
7 balls for a walk, 3 strikes and out. Catcher must catch the 3rd strike for an out. Let's see. Any attempt at a swing, even a, I guess, check swing is called a strike.
Ah.
Hit by the pitch, it's a ball.
Well, to the top of the 5th inning we go. Steve Detweiler leading off for the Lumberjacks, hitting in the 5-hole. So on the top of the 5, it's the 5-hitter. First pitch from Scholl misses or hits the outside. I don't know why I said that missed. I zoomed myself out there.
A good pitch for Scholl there. He obviously did not throw that pitch down the middle as he did the first time when Detweiler came up. So I think the friendship has passed, and we're late into this game with a close game. Pacific's only up by 1 run right now, and all bets are off with regard to the friendship thing here. It's now we've got to go out and try and get ourselves a win here.
Well, Scholl just 45 pitches into this game, working very efficiently. It's been a quick game so far, as we're almost at the halfway point, and we haven't even gone an hour yet. 55 minutes by my count.
Yeah, both pitchers are doing a great job of throwing strikes, and the hitters are aggressive. You know, the hitters are coming up to the plate, and they are swinging the bat, and you know, putting a lot of balls in play. I think we only have 2 to 3 strikeouts thus far, so and only 1 walk, I believe, between both sides. So a lot of balls have been put in play early in the count, and when that happens, you tend to have a very quick and fast pitch game.
Well, Detweiler was swinging a little bit too much there. That's Scholl's second strikeout of the day. Now Mike Taylor at the plate as Scholl just misses the outside there for a ball, 1-0.
Scholl doing a good job now, his second time through the order here, varying his pitches. He's no longer challenging first pitch fastballs directly down the center of the plate. Now he's working a little bit off the plate, side to side a little bit more, and doing a good job of giving these Lumberjack hitters a different look and a different feel.
Well, Taylor was granted time right in the middle of Scholl's windup as Gonzalez to his left in time. Gonzalez, always so smooth over his shortstop there, was able to get Taylor on a play that might have been a fairly difficult play. He made it look easy.
Yeah, Gonzalez is a very smooth fielding shortstop, doing a great job of keeping that ball to the left instep of his foot and keeping that back foot a little bit planted behind him so that he positions himself to come through the ball in the direction that he's going to be throwing. Very smooth play through from a low 3/4 slot where he looked very fluid and very effortless throughout that play. Made it look really, really simple.
As Rade White grounds us right at Kyle Donani. Donani over to Woodard at first, and that's the top of the 5th inning. Scholl gets him to go 1-2-3. Pacific still leading this one 1-0.
It's time for the 5th inning.
And let's keep it here between these two frames, as it's been a great game so far, very different from the kind of games we saw against the Pacifics and the Lumberjacks last week when the totals were, when I'm about to, 8-0 on the first night. Logan Odom a complete game 1-hit shutout, and then on the second night an 18-2 routing. And then night number 3 was a 15-6. A little bit closer, but still, 9 runs is a pretty big differential. Tonight through 4.5 at the halfway point, 1-0, just 8 hits between both teams, and this is shaping up to be a pretty exciting one, Charles.
Well, these fans here down here at Alberts Park are getting a little bit of a look at every different type of game that can be played. I mean, as you mentioned, some of the games were just absolute laughers with regard to the scores that were being posted and the amount of runs that were being scored. And then tonight we have a classic pitcher's duel here, where both pitchers are rolling and moving very easily along here, and are doing a wonderful job of keeping the hitters off balance and keeping this game close. So we definitely have ourselves a pitcher's battle here tonight. Both pitchers are still low in their pitch counts, and it looks like it's going to be a tough battle all the way through the end.
Well, let's talk about this. This is pretty impressive. Between both pitchers, through 4.5 innings, just 3 runners stranded on base. And considering that the score is so low, that means that they've been very efficient about not only keeping runners off base, but when they get on base, they're getting rid of them. We've seen 3 double plays from the Pacific so far, and interestingly enough, really those double plays have been a lot of tag the base and go.
Yes.
And usually you hear about, a lot you hear the 5-4-3 double play, the 6-4-3 double play, the kind of double plays where it's shortstop to second baseman to shortstop, third base to second base, where it's kind of a relay, but these have been more Kyle Donani stepping on the base at third, Price Kendall coming up with the tag at second. It's a different kind of feel for this game than just pretty much any game we've seen from the Lumberjacks all year, and it's a positive one for sure, and the fans here are really enjoying it, and the atmosphere at this park is very different than it was the last 2 times these teams played.
Well, it's a nice change, It's a nice change to see 2 professional teams come out and battle and have a highly contested and good contest against one another. It's fun as a hometown fan to see your team win, but it's also fun as a hometown fan to see quality baseball being played, and I think that's exactly what we're getting a look at this evening. We're seeing both pitchers do a fabulous job on the mound, and then we're seeing a lot of great defensive plays behind them. The hitting obviously has been stymied a little bit this evening, but
as Andre White dove and almost was able to make a diving catch there. Had he made it, that would have been fairly sensational, but White not the quickest player out there. He's deceptive with his speed, but wasn't fast enough to catch that one, so Zach Pace gets himself aboard. That's the 5th hit of the game for the Pacifics. And for the first time tonight, the Pacifics have a leadoff runner on base, so we'll see if they're able to do anything with the top of the lineup coming on. Morgan Micken at the plate now. He's in the 9-hole. But should Micken get to on base, or even if he gets retired, the top of the lineup will be up with 1 away at worst.
And we are going around the order here our 3rd time too, so I would expect to see the Pacific hitters start to make even more adjustments and have a better feel for what they're trying to do at the plate, and have a little bit more of a read on what Detweiler has been featuring this evening, and possibly have a little bit more success.
Well, the 0-1 pitch to Micken misses low. The wind not doing a lot right now, although it is blowing lightly out, which is bad for Detweiler's knuckleball. So not only do you have the Pacifics hitters coming up the 3rd time through the order when they tend to start raking, but you also have the wind kind of going against Detweiler. We'll see if that's a recipe for disaster for him.
Yeah.
You had to hope not. I mean, as I said, I work with Detweiler in stadium operations, and he's one of the biggest quality people I've ever met in my life. And he's such a team player. In some respects, going to the Lumberjacks was not a selfish move, but it was something to get himself more playing time. But it was also just to kind of end some drama in his own clubhouse where, you know, were some people getting playing time over him? Was he being left out because of certain things? As Pace goes, the throw down to second is not in time, as it was a little bit high. Credit Matt Lucchese with a good shot down to second base. Had that one been on target, that might have been in time to get Pace there.
Yeah, yeah. Strong throw from the catcher here. And Pace just able to slide underneath the tag there. Getting back to Detweiler and his move to the Lumberjacks here, you know, as an athlete, you want the opportunity to go out and play, and if you feel that you're not getting that opportunity, regardless of whatever reason, you know, it stirs a little bit more energy and a little bit more fire in your belly, you know. And I'm sure it was a tough decision for him to leave his local roots here, where he's well known and is a fan favorite, obviously, and also to move to a team that maybe has not had the type of success that the Pacifics have had. But nevertheless, you know, being the competitor that he is, looking for an opportunity to get out on the field and have an opportunity to play, I'm sure he's comfortable with his decision, and he's done a hell of a job this evening.
Oh, he's very comfortable. I asked him earlier about it, and he said, I love the decision. It's a different feeling in the clubhouse as Micken draws a walk here between the Pacifics and the Lumberjacks. The Pacifics are a completely professional baseball club. Baseball is everybody's full-time profession. As you said, Cal Donani and Danny Gonzalez are two of the players that use your facilities as future prospects almost daily, and they're out here at noon every day pretty much taking ground balls when they're not over there.
Right.
But the Lumberjacks have kind of a situation where they have players who work day jobs and then come and play baseball at night.
Right.
They're starting to move away from that with their recent signings. But Detweiler really likes that atmosphere. He says, these guys are playing the game for the love of the game.
Right.
And it's just a matter of, that's what I like. He said, I like playing baseball for the love of the game, and the guys here are really good. We're really gelling really well, even though I've only played a couple games.
Well, regardless of what you hear, you know, professional baseball, especially minor league baseball, it is a sacrifice, regardless of what level you're playing at. As long as you're in the minor leagues, it is a sacrifice. I mean, you're sacrificing a lot in order to have that dream of potentially playing at the major league level. So all of these players understand that. They've all made the sacrifice. They're all fully involved in what they do out here. They all work extremely hard, and you know, they're giving us a hell of a product tonight.
As Detweiler spins around and looks Pace back, Pace was almost picked off as Wittig and Detweiler connected very, very well a few pitches ago. And Pace maybe just getting the benefit of a missed tag by Wittig, as Detweiler's first pitch to Kendall has fouled off. Kendall, you can tell when Kendall is not happy with himself. He's a very vocal player. I mentioned the quick rapid fire answers and questions from Pacific's intern Megan Castellucci, and pretty much everybody says the biggest talker on the team is Bryce Kendall, but whenever he's angry at himself for missing a pitch, he walks around clockwise around the battle circle around home plate.
Yeah, you could see that Price Kendall was a little bit upset with himself on that last pitch, felt that it was a pitch that he definitely could handle and was in his happy zone, so to speak, and missed it, and showed a little bit of frustration in body language as he walked around the batter's box to kind of relieve a little bit of stress and anguish to get himself back under control.
And then as he fouled off the bunt there, he did exactly the same thing, and that would have been a great play as Taylor was pulled way back at third base. Detweiler and Pace staring at each other between second and the pitcher's mound, and Det is going to take a step off. He's ahead of Kendall 0-2. There's nobody out. The Pacifics have a good threat here with good speed on the base paths with Pace on second and Micken on first. And the 0-2 pitch misses low. That's an okay thing from Detweiler. Especially, he really has the room to come back with a couple of straight knuckleballs here. Ahead 0-2, having gotten there with knuckleballs as well.
Absolutely, with an aggressive hitter like Price Kendall up at the plate right now and being this far ahead in the count, I always like to tell my pitchers rather, you've got 4 chances to throw 1 quality pitch. And
as Kendall's ball goes right through Wittig's legs, Pace is running around third. He will score as the throw is offline. The official scorekeeper immediately giving that an error on Wittig. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that goes for an unearned run as well. That would have been a 6-4-3 double play had Wittig been able to make the play.
Nevertheless, a hard hit ball up the middle, but hit right after shortstop, right through the legs. A play that should have been easily made, especially at this level of play, and would have definitely been an easy double play ball given the fact that the ball was hit so hard and basically was a one hopper that went right between the legs. So unfortunate play there for Detweiler on the mound. Had a chance to get out of this inning unscathed, but unfortunately shortstop was unable to make the play for him.
On the play, Micken moved to second, and the first pitch to Fontaine is in the dirt. Lucchese, it's kind of his thing back there. He's so good at blocking the balls in the dirt. We saw the one from Detweiler that sailed on him go right past Lucchese. He's not the biggest catcher in the world. He's kind of a skinny rail back there, very short as well.
He's not a big physical opposing guy, but what he is he's extremely athletic. He's extremely quick on his feet, and he does a wonderful job of blocking balls. And being a knuckleballer out there like Detweiler is, I'm sure he has a lot of confidence knowing that he can bounce balls and still know that those balls will be fielded and blocked and won't come back to hurt him later on. But he has done a wonderful job behind that plate and is really, really a solid defensive catcher.
Well, Fontaine fouled that fastball off from Detweiler. It's 2-1 to him now. Detweiler still limited his walks to just 2, which is very impressive from him.
Yes.
It's something that he's had trouble with during the year. In his 3 1/3 innings pitched earlier in the year, he was able to only surrender 1 walk. But that was also in a shoebox of a stadium in Arizona with center field was about 330 feet away.
Wow.
And it was 120 degrees, very humid. The ball was flying, so there wasn't a ton that any Pacifics pitcher could do. It really ran up all of their ERAs very early in the season.
Right. Yeah, when you're playing on a field where the center field fence is 320 feet, that's not a favorable situation for any pitcher in any type of climate, let alone one in Arizona where the ball tends to carry as it is anyway. So can't really hold that against those pitchers when they're playing in a park like that. I'm sure the ERAs were inflated considerably given the fact that they were playing in such adverse situations.
Oh, this one gets into center field. Micken is motoring around third. Kendall was jogging to third and was nearly picked off there, but Fontaine is going to scoot into second. Kendall is safe at third. So Fontaine gets himself an RBI single and stretches it into second as the throw goes to third. So 2 runners in scoring position now for the Pacifics. They lead 3-0, and Michael Hova coming to the plate with a chance to really give the Pacifics a commanding lead here.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, you know, that's the third time through the order for these Pacific hitters here, and they seem to have figured some things out here with regard to Detweiler on the mound. They're impacting the ball and striking the ball with a lot more force and hitting the balls a lot more squarely this inning here than they had in the 5 previous innings. So, you know, the middle of this order is a very solid order, and they have a lot of very quality hitters in this lineup here. So, Pacific hitters getting a little bit more comfortable at the plate.
Fontaine's 28th RBI in the season. He's heated up somewhat as of late. Fontaine, very interestingly, although he's not hitting very well by his standards, 274. He has 36 walks on the season, which is second only to Johnny Woodard in the Pacific Association. And he's right up there in on-base percentage, too. His on-base percentage, a remarkable .418, which is amazing considering he's hitting .230 or .270.
Yeah.
As Hova takes this knuckleball into left field where Day White dives and misses it. Kendall's going to come around to score. Fontaine is going to come around to score. Hova's going to move into second. And with that RBI double, Hova's 51st and 52nd RBIs on the year. The Pacifics lead 5-0, and Detweiler starting to see his gem unravel just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit frustrating. I think it's been a combination of the Pacific hitters making adjustments, but also some poor defense by his teammates. Guys not really doing a very good job of supporting and backing him up defensively. There's been several plays throughout the course of this inning that could have easily been made, and unfortunately for Detweiler, his teammates were not able to make those plays behind him.
Well, Detweiler is going to leave this game with a very good round of applause here. And it's going to be a pitching substitution for East Bay. We'll see who that is in just a moment, as it does appear to be Rob Enriquez, who will be on the mound for them at the moment. No, I apologize. Unfortunately, he's not listed on the Lumberjacks roster. He's a left-handed thrower, I believe just signed by them. And I'm not 100% sure who this is. We'll hear from the press box in just a second who's on the mound for the Lumberjacks, but let's talk about Detweiler's performance a little bit. 4 innings plus really works. He only gave up 3 earned runs.
Right.
Which, it's not great, but up to this inning, he was doing a fantastic job and keeping his old team on the ropes there. And you gotta say that's an impressive start by him, at least. The finish kind of unraveled.
Well, you know, let's face it, Detweiler's a little bit of an inexperienced pitcher, and going up against this vaunted Pacific's lineup, the cards were stacked against him to begin with. I think he did a very good job of going out there and battling and keeping his team in this game and giving them an opportunity to compete. Unfortunately for him, there was some shady defensive play that resulted from some hard hit balls by the Pacifics, but nevertheless, I think he did a very good job of going out there and giving his team an opportunity. Unfortunately, they were just unable to make the plays behind him.
So Detweiler was in the lineup in the 1 position, not listed as the DH, but as the pitcher. So we'll see whether he's replaced by the man who just took over for him. We still don't have confirmation on who the pitcher is for the Lumberjacks. It's something we've seen a couple of years from East Bay where they don't really list, not only do they not list their players on their roster, but they don't list numbers either. It's kind of a shifting roster from day to day. Well, it's lefty against lefty for Johnny Woodard. The first pitch hits the outside corner for a strike. So the Pacifics now have the challenge of coming out against, it appears to be a split ball pitcher after a knuckleball pitcher, so he throws a little harder. As that one, actually, that guy don't look like a knuckleball there.
I think it was a breaking ball, big looping curve ball that he threw there to Woodard. A lefty on lefty matchup right now, so obviously breaking ball breaking away. Be curious to see what pitch he follows up with now, being out in front of the count.
Well, he came up with a fastball and missed him way up and away. I think he was trying to get Woodard to chase that one, but didn't quite work out for him.
Yeah, came around and really changed his arm slot, dropped down to a low 3/4 release there and really tried to catch Woodard off guard.
As this one is in the dirt. And a good job of Lucchese behind the plate to block it.
Lucchese up to his normal tactics back there, blocking every single ball that seems to touch the dirt back there, doing a very good job of keeping that ball out in front.
So it is Rob Enriquez out to pitch for the Lumberjacks, and Woodard swings and misses. That's Woodard's second strikeout of the day. And now there's one away in the bottom of the 5th. This nightmare inning could end soon should Enriquez be able to get through the Pacific's order right now.
Well, Enriquez right there once again dropping down, changing his arm slot, catching Woodard off guard. Fastball that really was not in the strike zone, but a very deceptive pitch nonetheless, and was able to get Woodard off guard.
So now Kyle Donani at the plate. Donani 0 for 2 today, but he scored the first Pacific's run. He also struck out in his last at bat. as the throw back to Enriquez actually, well, just flat missed him. And so the defensive woes kind of continuing a little bit for the Lumberjacks, as we've seen a couple of errors by Wittig at short, and then that one was just a little bad.
Yeah, a little bit of a miscue there with the catcher, between the catcher and the pitcher. An overthrow, but no, a play that did not cost the Lumberjacks any type of misfortune.
So the Pacifics having something of a big inning here. Donani, the 7th hitter to hit in this inning, as he's now up 3-0 over Enriquez. Enriquez having trouble locating almost everything, it appears.
Yeah,
he was fine to Woodard, but coming to the righty Donani, it's a little different.
Enriquez has a little bit of a quirky delivery where he lifts that front shoulder, and generally speaking, a lot of the times when you pull that front shoulder up in the motion in the direction that he's doing, and the arm is not fast enough to catch up to the body, you will tend to be up in the strike zone quite a bit. And I think all of his pitches up to this point have been just that, up in the strike zone. So I think he's struggling right now to find that release point given his mechanics, and I would expect to see him make some adjustments as he continues to pitch here.
So now 2 on, 1 away, bottom of the 5th inning. Danny Gonzalez, the 8th batter for the Pacifics to hit in the bottom of the 5th. As he first pitch swings, grounds this one right at Wittig to second for 1. The relay on to first. That is in time, so the inning ends, but not before the Pacifics plate 4 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and strand 2 runners on base. We're going to move to the top of the 6th inning. It's a whole new ball game now, 5-0 Pacifics. You are watching Santa Fe Pacifics baseball on Marin Television.
We believe media should reflect the community that it serves.
That media can foster community development.
That media can create a space for public discourse.
And government transparency.
We believe
media can educate
and inform.
That there needs to be
more local media.
Local media made
by your fellow residents
and neighbors.
That this media should be made by
and for people.
And not corporations just seeking profits.
We believe
TV
can still be worth saving.
And that it begins here at the Community Media Center of Marin.
Support our efforts, support your community, and donate now.
No talking to the sir today at all, okay? It's a tight game, let him make his calls. 2, when we're at the plate, aggressive, take your swings to right center. We get full happy, we hit ground balls, we make outs. Right center, drive the ball hard, aggressive on the base paths, we've seen what it can do, and just play smart. Play like we've been playing the last couple of weeks. Good D, no extra bases, no wasted throws.
Aggressive on the base paths, and look, you don't even have to think that hard about right center, just wait. Just hold back that extra, beat before you swing.
Slow infield, so
and outfield, right field muddy.
So particularly, I think the person that impacts the most is the pitchers. You're so used to having plenty of time, you never react. Like as we saw last week, if it's a slow dribbler, you gotta go get it. Okay.
Well, Matt Lucchese is leading off for the Lumberjacks in the top of the 6th inning. It's a different ball game now. The Pacific's leading 5-0. Scholl blows a fastball right by him. It's 1-1 to him now. Scholl missed off the plate with the first pitch. Other games going on in the Pacific Association of Professional Baseball, really the one that the Pacifics are paying attention to, is Nakoi Ikaika Maui against Fukui Miracle Elephants. They're in Japan, an independent league over in Asia, and right now the main reason that the Pacifics are interested in that game is Lucchese swings over top of the breaking ball for strike 3. But the main reason that the Pacifics are interested in that is that they are right now enjoying a 2.5 game, a very narrow 2.5 game lead over Maui in the Pacific Association standings. Maui has been on fire as of late, winning 5 straight, 6 of their last 4. But really the 5 straight is the one that really jumps out. And they're really bridging that gap as the season is starting to move towards a close. As Mark Lucox fouls this one out of play to the left side. Lucox on the day and on the season for the Lumberjacks is 0 for 1. He grounded into a double play that Bryce Kendall tagged out Matt Lucchese on and then whisked on to first. So it's 0-1 to him here. Scholl working ahead as he tends to do when he's in a rhythm. We'll see whether he's able to keep it up here. That 0-1 pitch. That one's on the inside corner for a strike. Good pitch from Scholl. Vinny Longo here bringing you this game on Marin TV. Charles Scott taking a quick break to get something to eat. Chris Scholl's ahead 0-2. The pitch. Curveball in the dirt, swung on and missed. Quintero pounces on it and he throws it on to first in time to get the out. So Quintero rewarding manager Ryan Pretty for giving him the start tonight. The Pacifics have a very interesting conundrum, and not a bad one at that, but it's still a tough place to be for manager Ryan Pretty. They have 3 incredibly capable, and that's understating it when I say incredibly capable catchers. They have Matt Cavanaugh, who was their starter to begin the year. They have Matt Quintero, who was the backup to start the year, and then Kevin Reinking, who came in to fill in for Cavanaugh when he was injured. All 3 of them are currently on the roster as Scholl misses to Joe Wittig on the first pitch. And it's a very difficult place for manager Ryan Pretty to be as this one goes right by Wittig with the fastball. As he has to decide which one to start every night. He also has to decide which one to pair with which pitcher as Scholl misses somewhere. But it's a good place to be in if you're a manager because the pitchers are all comfortable throwing to all 3 catchers equally. It's nothing like one pitcher sometimes prefers another catcher as Wittig fouls that one off his foot. That looked painful, but Wittig just kind of walk it off a little bit. But sometimes the pitcher will be more comfortable with a certain catcher. But that's not the case in the Pacifics as all pitchers love all 3 catchers. So Ryan Pretty has himself an okay troubling position. 2-away, 2-2 count to Joe Wittig and the pitch. Fastball, he did go all the way through. Quintero smothers it and tags out Wittig. So Chris Scholl strikes out the side, and the East Bay Lumberjacks go 1-2-3 in the top of the 6th. We're moving to the bottom of the 6th inning. Santa Fe Pacifics leading this game 5-0. You were watching Pacifics baseball on Marin Television.
That was innovation. That's right. It took the 3 Stooges to come in.
Well, we're in the bottom of the 6th inning here from beautiful Albert Park. It's shaping up to be a beautiful night for baseball in downtown Santa Fe. It didn't start off as the best day in the world. It was really foggy and kind of gross this morning. But by around 11 o'clock, it shaped into a beautiful day, and it's turning into an absolutely gorgeous night. As the sun is now set, the lights are in full effect. And Matt Quintero is leading off for the Pacifics. They're leading 5-0. And have started off very strongly against the Lumberjacks in this game, as now, I believe, Rob Ellis out to pitch for the Lumberjacks. And his first pitch for Quintero missed. The next pitch is high for a ball, 2-0. And Quintero gets a hold of this one high and deep into right center field. And this one is not going to be caught. It bounces off the wall. Quintero is moving into second base. I thought that one was gone off the bat, but it actually bounced a couple of feet in front of the wall. So Quintero gets a leadoff double, and now the Pacifics has something cooking again in the bottom of the 6th inning. Quintero absolutely got a hold of that one to the opposite field. Off the bat, I thought it was gone, but the wind kind of knocked it down a little bit. It's not blowing fiercely, but blowing just enough to knock it down and keep it in the ballpark. But Quintero's not complaining. He's standing on base with a very impressive double. That's his 5th double on the year, and that sets himself up to be scored should Zach Pace be able to get on base here.
Please head down to Pacific's dugout.
So Ellis is into the stretch. The first pitch is Zach Pace. This one's grounded. A nice grab by Ellis. He's going to go to second, and Whitting mishandles it. Oh man, that was incredible. Whitty grabbed the ball with his bare hand, reached around himself, and still tagged out in Quintero. Quintero can't believe it, and neither can Zach Pace. I don't know whether Quintero was able to get the hand under there, but the Lumberjacks might have caught a break, as now that's the first out of the bottom of the 6th. And Morgan Micken at the plate. That was absolutely, well, flummoxing to me. I've never seen something like that. I've said that now 4 times while the Pacifics have been playing the East Bay Lumberjacks. As the first pitch to Micken paints the inside corner for a strike. That was odd. And the second pitch to Micken is grounded to the right side. The throw on to second in time for 1. The relay to first not nearly in time, and it gets away from Ellis covering the bag. Micken's going to hold up there. And for the second time tonight, that one goes out of play, so Micken's going to get over to first. The official score crediting that as a hit and then an error, as Micken would actually a fielder's choice and then an error. He didn't reach on the error. He gets the second base on the error, rather. But he's in scoring position now for the top of the lineup in Price Kendall. That's Joe Wittig's 3rd error on the game, as that was just a very wild throw. And Ellis, who was just getting to the bag, didn't really have the opportunity to get his feet set and pick that one out of the dirt. So it's going to be Price Kendall coming up to plate. Kendall is 1 for 3 on the day. He singled in the 3rd. Last time reached on an error and then scored on Hova's double. There's 2 on from the first pitch from Ellis is swung on and missed there. Charles Scott rejoining us here in the broadcast booth. How was dinner, Charles?
Oh, it was outstanding. Tri-tip sandwich. It was very good.
Doesn't get much better at Jane's. Huge fan of the tri-tip sandwich myself. Well, you're a lucky man. It's a 0-1 count to Kendall. And he checks his swing. Did he go around? I don't think he was particularly close. The field umpire kind of ignored the gesture from Lucchese. It's 1-1 to Kendall now. Ellis, the big, powerful lefty, is set. And Kendall swings and lifts this one into deep left field, where Dave White is moving to his left, James to his right, and it's going to be James who makes the catch to retire the side. Kendall didn't miss that one by much, might have gotten it off the handle a little bit. But the score remains 5-0. We're moving to the top of the 7th. This game motoring right along. You're watching Pacific's Baseball on Marin TV.
Jacob, Cal, and Nick. On your mark.
This big guy looks like he's pretty good. Yeah.
Go.
My name is Mariah Chinchilla, and I'm a senior at Dominican University. When I graduate, I want to be a web and media producer.
My name is Daniel Williams. I go to the University of Puget Sound, and I want to work in the baseball industry.
Zach Busson, Dominican University, and I want to be a garment manufacturer.
The name's Vela, Sam Vela. I'm a junior at Dominican University of California. When I graduate, I plan on trying out for professional soccer teams in Europe.
My name is Graham Hooper. I go to the San Francisco Flex Academy, and I want to be a baseball broadcaster.
Janet McCarroll. I go to Dominican University, and I am interested in pursuing media arts.
My name is Spencer Clark. I go to the University of Arizona, and I want to be a composer.
Nadia Green, Dominican University of California, and I'd like to go into PR and marketing.
Hi, my name is Rennie Shapiro. I go to Tam High School, and I'd love to be an ESPN anchor when I'm older.
Well, as you saw right there, this is a broadcast of Marin Television, an educational experience for local high school and college students, bringing you 6 games over the course of the summer for the San Rafael Pacifics. Vinny Longo alongside Charles Scott bringing you the final installment of this summer series of San Rafael Pacifics baseball. They're leading 5-0. We're in the top of the 7th inning right now. For the East Bay Lumberjacks, it's going to be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Andre White leading off. Elsewhere in the Pacific Association, Maui appears to have lost to the Elephants. And that's the good news for the Pacifics, because with that loss, the Pacifics could theoretically, if they hold on to win this game, could jump up 3.5 games in the Pacific Association standings. White kind of nubs this one to the left side. Gonzalez going around it on the run in time to get White. That was an incredible play by Danny Gonzalez.
Danny Gonzalez doing an outstanding job of once again trying to get his body around the ball to get some type of momentum in the direction that he's going to be throwing, but had to throw that ball off balance and made a wonderful play throwing across his body all the way across the field in the deep in the hole to get the runner by a play that really honestly was not even close. He made it look so easily.
So now Justin James standing at the plate as the first pitch from Scholl hits the corner. James, a very dangerous hitter. Fans will remember he took Casey Russell deep for the only 2 runs of the Pacific's 18-2 win over them that game. As he did not miss that fastball one much, fouling it straight back. He's the son of former Major Leaguer Dion James. Spent 11 years in the pros and was also drafted by the Yankees in the 13th round. Ended up getting their Gulf Coast League, but ended up being released in 2012. He started the season with the Vallejo Admirals until he was signed to the Lumberjacks to go on the Maui trip with them, and he's stayed with them since. As Scholl tries the breaker and isn't able to get James to chase. And I think James did a good job there. It's an old baseball, I don't really know what the term is, maybe idiom is correct, but they say if you can read breaking ball spin, and if it starts above the or below the knees, obviously don't swing at it. It has to be above the hips.
Right. Well, a lot of the times too, when you see a ball that's that far out of the strike zone, it's an easier take for the batter because you're able to read ball sooner. Generally speaking, with breaking balls, you want to have action in the strike zone as opposed to outside of the strike zone or before the strike zone, because then it's a lot easier for the hitter to decipher ball or strike if it is. So Scholl doing a very good job there where he threw a fastball on the outer half of the plate and caught the batter off guard and was able to strike him out.
Yeah, that was some great movement there. It started off the plate and then came on. Nice little backdoor action. That's Scholl's 6th strikeout on the day. His stuff is a lot better than we've seen as of late.
Yeah, he's been steady all night long, doing a very good job.
As Hopes drills this one into right field. Micken is giving it chase, and this one is not coming back. Mike Hopes takes Chris Scholl deep to dead right field. And now the East Bay Lumberjacks trailing the Pacifics 5-1. They get their first run on the board. And there's 2 away in the bottom of the 7th.
Big, strong, physical hitter right there. Did not get a lot of lower half into that swing. Very little backside rotation, but was able to get the arms extended, hit the ball on the right part of the bat, and because of the upper body strength, was able to drive the ball out to right field. And an impressive at bat.
So it is going to be Rob Ellis hitting in the 5 spot. It is the pitcher spot, so the pitcher does have to hit. Part of the reason why Ellis was subbed in, Ellis has actually done some hitting for the Lumberjacks on the year as he swings and misses at the high fastball there. Didn't look particularly good on that swing. He's 1 for 3, so taking 3 at-bats. I believe those were in Maui. And he swings through a curveball, but it gets away from Quintero. It's going to be a foot race, although Ellis wasn't particularly hustling. The throw from Quintero is behind, gets there in time. That was incredible. Matt Quintero threw while sitting down, and it skipped a good 5 times before it got to Johnny Woodard, but hey, it counts as an out. Well, that was an incredible play by Matt Quintero. That puts the Lumberjacks away. They get 1 run on 1 hit, a pretty big hit, and the longest hit of the night.
Yeah,
courtesy of Mike Hopes. And now the Pacifics lead 5-1.
Able to score their first run, obviously, on that home run there. So Lumberjacks feeling a little bit better about themselves this inning here. At least they've got a run on the board now, and this game is still not out of reach. I mean, the score is still relatively close, with the score being 6-1? Is that what I'm seeing on the scoreboard?
It is 5-1.
It's 5-1. So this game is far from over with. So the Pacifics will have to come back up here and see if they can mount a few more insurance runs here. But looking at the big, tall, strong lefty on the mound who seems to be throwing extremely hard, I think that task is going to be a little bit tougher than it has been with the previous two pitchers.
Well, Rob Ellis came in the exhibition game the Pacifics saw him at Albert Park. And he and Wayne Franklin combined to hit the Pacifics. Wow. And Ellis threw 4 innings of shutout baseball there. He allowed the 2 hits, but Wayne Franklin allowed the 2 runs, both of them. He walked the bases loaded and then gave up a sac fly, and then walked another runner and gave up another sac fly. Still no hits,
right?
But 2 runs allowed. And then Rob Ellis came in, didn't allow any runs, allowed a couple of hits. But the Pacifics have seen him, and he did very well against them when they did see him, but on the season, he's actually been surprisingly unspectacular. Through 6 appearances, 26 1/3 innings of work, 32 runs, although only 20 of them earned, 39 hits, 12 strikeouts, 10 walks. That's good for a 6.83 ERA. So he hasn't had a lot of success, but he did have the Pacifics number early in the season. We'll see whether that continues for the Pacifics in this game.
Right.
It'll be Chase Fontaine leading off for the Pacifics in the bottom of the 7th inning. Fontaine on the day has singled, popped out to Wittig at short, and then flown out to James in center field. He's 1 for 3 on the day. He also scored on Hova's double. That was in the 5th inning. So Ellis is set. And the pitch to Fontaine misses. Ellis working from the stretch. Classic trait of a relief pitcher, not so much a starter. You rarely see starters working from the stretch.
Yeah, a lot of relievers will pitch from the stretch because generally speaking, when they come into the game, they're coming into a situation where they're inheriting a base runner, so they feel a little bit more comfortable pitching from that position on a full-time basis. Ellis has a very good delivery, real smooth, long stroke behind the body, high 3/4 release point, gets on top of the ball, and because of his height, tends to create some downhill playing, which can be very deceptive to hitters, and also is a very favorable arm slot when throwing a breaking ball because you create more angle, more tilt, and more torque on that pitch. So I really like his delivery. It looks like to be a very clean delivery. Keeps the ball in line with his backside, hides the ball from the hitter, and looks to have very good deception.
Yeah, it's definitely a very effortless. I mean, we don't have a radar gun, so we can't tell how hard he's throwing. As that's a called strike to Fontaine there. But it does appear like if we had a radar gun, you could say it was an effortless 93.
Yeah,
very
the
easy.
velocity is definitely a lot more visible than the other pitchers that have pitched in this game, and he puts Fontaine away there with a good breaking ball.
He's fooling the Pacifics so far. Ellis, one of the few players on this Lumberjacks team who's actually played in affiliated baseball. He was drafted by the Angels, then of Anaheim, in the 1999 Major League Baseball draft. He played for the Tampa Bay Rays organization starting in 2002, didn't play in the NCAA. He was able to reach High A Bakersfield and Sioux Falls Gateway in 2005. Chico was where he started independent league ball. Over his career, he's 10-17, a 6.72 ERA. So he has been a relief pitcher for the most part of his career. But he does have almost a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is something you always like to see.
Well, the one thing that I see from Ellis is I see tools, you know, and when you're talking about guys that play at the major league level and guys, for that matter, that get opportunities to play professionally, tools are extremely important. And what I mean by tools is the ability to throw an above-average fastball, the ability to throw a quality breaking ball, the ability to command your pitches, and the ability to create, opportunities to be successful. And when you have those types of tools, you'll see that organizations are willing to take chances on big-bodied, strong, physical, able guys, especially left-handed pitchers that possess those types of tools.
Well, Ellis is able to get Hova to record the out. Hova had 2 hits and 2 RBIs on the day for the Pacific, so that was a good retirement for him. And now Johnny Woodard stepping up to the plate. Woodard dove for 3 on the day. He was robbed of a hit by Rade White in left field in the 3rd inning. Other than that, he struck out twice, looking to not get the hat trick.
Yeah, and he has not looked good this far at the plate this evening.
as the appeal down the first base on the check swing, that always puzzles me. When you have a left-handed hitter up, the base umpire is standing behind him. He has no plane of view whether to see
I think
he went
that's
through.
just a knee-jerk reaction. Normally speaking, there would be an umpire on the left side of the diamond in a situation like that, but given the fact that we don't have that here this evening, it is kind of an unusual request.
James Lopresti up and warming up in the Lumberjacks pen. And the 1-1 pitch to Woodard misses. You know, it's interesting, Woodard usually so confident at the plate. Today during batting practice, I mean, credit, batting practice is not the same as live pitching. However, he was having trouble barreling up the ball. And in batting practice, if you can't do it in batting practice, it's going to be difficult during the game.
Right.
And Woodard had a lot of frustration. It was almost audible throughout. There's really loud music that goes on during batting practice for the Pacifics. But it was audible over the music how frustrated he was.
Right.
He was missing some great pitches and couldn't hit them.
Well, baseball's a mental game, and if you don't feel good about yourself and you don't feel good about your swing, it can affect you, and it can affect you for long periods of time. So obviously he's not in his better mood right now and has not displayed quality at bats thus far this evening. But he's a very established hitter, a very successful hitter, and a very powerful hitter. So I'm sure he'll get himself back on track here soon enough.
Well, sometimes getting a walk is the way to do it, and he does just that there. That's Woodard's 38th walk on the season. That's good for the Pacific Association lead. A very patient hitter. It's an interesting mix for Johnny Woodard. He's a patient hitter, draws a lot of walks, strikes out a lot, and hits a lot of home runs. Usually you pick 2 out of those 3. He's the whole package.
Well, it does show you why he's had so much success. I mean, in order to be a good hitter, you have to swing at strikes. And you're not going to be able to be consistently successful if you are swinging at the pitcher's pitches as opposed to the pitches that you feel more comfortable with. So those are all traits of a successful hitter, and his track record shows that he's been a very successful hitter.
Donani checks at that one that appealed to the field umpire. He did not go. Donani might have gotten away with one there. That was pretty close. Count now even at 1-1 to him. Johnny Woodard leads away from first. He has a couple of stolen bases on the year, but not particularly a threat. As Donani fooled by the breaking ball there. Ellis doing a good job of mixing up his pitches, a very good job of it.
And Donani being another guy who seems to be a little bit off this evening. His swings have not really been of the quality that we've grown accustomed to. And he's been fooled quite badly on a lot of the swings this evening.
He is 0 for 2 on the day. He walked in the 5th inning, which stranded at first base. In the 1st inning, he reached on an error by Wittig and scored on Danny Gonzalez a single. That was at the time the only run of the ball game. Ellis, the big tall lefty, is set. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and grounded up the middle. Wittig with a good play to get it. On to second for 1, and that's all they need. So if you're keeping score at home, that's a fielder's choice. And Ellis is able to get himself out of a slight jam that he creates and keep the score at 5-1. And that's a really good job by him to keep his team in it as much as possible. That's his job as a reliever in this part of the ballgame.
Well, absolutely. That's the job of any pitcher, is to try and keep the score close enough to give your team an opportunity to come back and score runs. Unfortunately for the Lumberjacks, they've not been able to mount much of an offensive attempt against Skoll tonight. He's done a very good job of staying ahead in the count, keeping the batters off balance, and has done a very good job tonight in pitching and keeping his team doing the exact opposite for his team, or the right thing for his team, keeping the score down, keeping the opposition from scoring, and allowing his team to get out and score more runs. So that's always the job of a pitcher, is to try and keep his team close enough to where they can mount a scoring opportunity where they can score runs to win a game.
Now Pacific's close to Colin Allen rocking right in front of us. Colin hasn't seen a lot of action as of late because the Pacific's wins have all been in huge fashion. The closest one was the other day against the Admirals, the final game of that series, when they won 6-0. But it was in Maui was the last time that Colin Allen got some action, and that was a couple of weeks ago. But it's going to be Ross Pomeranz on the mound for the Pacifics, and you got to wonder if your manager Ryan Pretty, are you going to get your closer some work soon? JJ Wetzel, the setup man, is seen a couple of games of action, but Colin Allen has just been sitting in the bullpen.
Right.
So you got to wonder, is he going to get in?
Yeah, well, that can present a problem down the road, especially when you start playing against some quality teams and getting into some of these close run games. You know, it's always a good idea to get your bullpen some work so that they can stay sharp enough to come in and battle in tough game situations. Like you've said, the Pacifics have had a lot of high-scoring games where they've not really been challenged, and the starting pitching has gone deep into the games, and it's prevented those bullpen pitchers from getting opportunities to get out there and stay sharp. So we'll have to see what happens with the bullpen this evening. It's good to see that some of these guys are getting an opportunity to get out here and get some innings underneath their belt, because they will be needed in order for this team to win a championship again.
So Pomerantz, the lefty from Marin Academy, the pride of Marin Academy, the first player to graduate from there and go on to play professional baseball.
Wow.
Now in to pitch for the Pacifics against Mike Taylor, who actually took Pomerantz deep the last time they faced. The first pitch to him is a strike. Pomerantz pitching carefully. That pitch hit the black at the knees on the outside corner.
Right.
So he's going to be careful with Taylor here. As this one is a breaking ball off the outside. Now, Charles, you pitched very high levels of baseball. Major leagues is pretty much the highest level you can get. The next time you face a guy after he hits a home run off of you, a grand slam it was, how do you approach him?
Well, for me, being a power pitcher that I was, you know, I'm a very aggressive guy, a very aggressive pitcher. So if a hitter got the better half of me, I'm the type of personality that would come back and challenge that guy and go toe-to-toe with him again and see if I could get the upper hand the next time around. Obviously, the situation dictates what you can do. Given the circumstances of this inning here, no runners being on and having hit a grand slam his last time against Pomerantz, you know, I think it's okay to be aggressive and challenge a hitter and let him know that you're not backing down from the challenge and to attack the strike zone and try and get ahead.
Also notable for the Pacifics, Derek Hale coming into play second. Bryce Kendall getting his first rest of the season, I believe. And it's going to come in the top of the 8th inning, so he gets a couple of innings off. Toby O'Day wide at the plate. He swings and fouls that one right back at the grandstand. And a nice grab by Matt Cavanaugh in the dugout, and he's fired up. Matt Cavanaugh, one of the leaders of this team. He was out for about a month with a hamstring injury, and a fan favorite, Pacific's employee favorite as well. As O'Day White lays off that breaking ball. But Cavanaugh having some time on the bench tonight. He's enjoying it as much as he can, as much as anybody can, and getting into the game as well as he can.
Right. Well, it is a joyful atmosphere out here. You know, it's minor league baseball. There's a good crowd base out here this evening. The weather is acceptable. It's definitely dropped in degrees a little bit from the beginning of the game, but nevertheless, it's still a comfortable evening and a good night for baseball.
Oh, O'Day White swings through that one and misses. That's the 9th strikeout by Pacific's pitching tonight.
Your attention, please.
The first for Pomerantz.
Pinch hitting for East Bay, number 13.
And now it's going to be Brad Shannon pinch hitting for Matt Lucchese. So Shannon's going to get a couple of innings of work in behind the plate. And Lopresti is sat down, so we'll see whether he comes in the bottom of the 8th or whether Rob Ellis will continue to hit. Or pitch, rather. Shannon on the year, not having particularly good offensive numbers as he lifts this one into left field. Fontaine is giving it chase. He's near the line. Fontaine slides and can't hold on to it. Shannon grounds first and stops, and the ball goes under the fence.
Yeah, I think Fontaine thought he was a little bit closer to the fence there, so he went into kind of like a safety slide and tried to catch the ball. It ended up hitting off his body and bouncing into foul territory and underneath the fence there. So the batter runs will get in. Roll into second with a stand-up double.
Nice ground rule double for him there. It did go under the fence. It's Shannon's second hit of the year. He was hitting before this at-bat .023. I've never seen that kind of batting average before.
Right. Well, batting averages can be deceiving, especially when hitters don't have a whole lot of at-bats. So I'm not quite sure or certain how many at-bats he's had up to that point, but that is definitely not a very impressive batting average.
As Lex Robbins is stepping in, and the first pitch he sees, he swings and lifts one into center field. Zach Pace is there to make the out. So that's how the bottom of the 8th inning ends. We're going to move, or the top of the 8th. We're going to move to the bottom of the 8th. Pacific's leading this one 5-0. We'll be right back here on Marin TV.
Broker in Marin County. Bradley Real Estate's a proud sponsor of the Pacifics.
Gonzalez leading things off for the San Rafael Pacifics. They're leading this one 5-1. I said 5-0 going into the break. It's total mess up on my part. It's 5-1.
Don't worry about it, Vinny. We'll give you that that little hiccup right there. You've done a hell of a job.
Well, it is going to be James Lopresti coming out and pitching for the East Bay Lumberjacks here. So Rob Ellis's night has done a solid night for Ellis. 2 innings pitched, just 1 hit allowed, and no runs, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. And he did a good job of keeping the Pacific's hitters off balance, and he kept his team in it as much as possible.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, Ellis, I really was impressed with his delivery, and I really was impressed with his overall tools. He looked to have the best assortment of quality pitches that I've seen from any of the pitchers from the Lumberjacks thus far this evening.
So James Lopresti, who's something of a local kid, he ended up playing at Sonoma State University for a year. Didn't do a lot there, didn't see a lot of time, really. But he did get to play as a Seawolf, which is where Zach Pace also played. But Lopresti is going to come on here and see if he can do the same thing that Rob Ellis did and keep his team in it. In the top of the 9th inning, Colin Allen is getting work in the Pacific's bullpen, so it looks like manager Ryan Priddy is going to give Allen a little bit of a load tonight and see if he can shut down the Lumberjacks in the 9th.
All right. Well, and it's not a bad evening to get him in the game either, because like as I mentioned earlier, this game is not completely out of reach. I mean, a 6-1 ball score is not an untouchable number here, so you still have to go out and play the game and finish the game. And it's not like he's bringing in a guy who's not a reliable pitcher. He's bringing in his closer to get some work in and trying to put this game away. So I think it's a good move and a wise one on top of that.
Well, defensively for the East Bay Lumberjacks, Brad Shannon has come on to catch. Lex Robbins has stayed on at second base. So that's how they have changed defensively in the bottom of the 8th. Danny Gonzalez, batting as always without batting gloves. Takes the first pitch fastball from Lopresti. Lopresti really brings the heat there.
Yeah, good fastball up in the zone right there, and Gonzalez taking it for ball 1.
I really think that's the first time we've actually heard the mitt pop tonight from the Lumberjacks side at least.
Well, Ellis was throwing the ball pretty well too, but yeah, this is a good fastball as well.
It's one of my favorite sounds. I love that. The ball and the glove, it really symbolizes. Can't really put my finger on it. I think that's what's so great about it.
Well, as a power pitcher, when you do hear that sound of that ball hitting that leather and it popping like that, it does give you a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and it makes you stick your chest out a little bit more and makes you want to come back and throw the next one even harder.
Really did, and that one almost hit Gonzalez in the face. Able to twist out of the way with it was Gonzalez, but that was very close to being a bad situation for the Pacifics.
And Danny Gonzalez doing a very good job of rolling with the pitch, turning the front shoulder and turning in away from the ball and rolling away. For those young hitters out there listening, always want to make sure that you roll to the inner half of the plate on a fastball that's up and in, so that your head and your shoulders turn into the ball and your head turns away from it.
And Gonzalez, one of the most fundamentally sound players on this Pacific's team. His average just dropped into the 280s on the year. He was well above 300 early. As he swings and misses through the high fastball there. So Lopresti gets his first strikeout against his first batter. And now there's one away in the bottom of the 8th inning for Matt Quintero.
An elevated fastball that had a lot of heat on it, and Gonzalez was completely overmatched in that fastball and that pitch.
So Quintero on the night has a couple of hits, a couple of doubles actually, and he's 2 for 3. Not a bad night for him though.
Yeah, he's had some quality at bats tonight. He's seeing the ball extremely well, but he's going to be challenged here because he's facing a pitcher that has a really good fastball, and he's going to have to really be on top of his game right now.
He's making a case for himself to become that second catcher. There's really a competition between himself and Kevin Reinking.
All right, kids, here are winners in the tennis ball toss
it's tough because they're both very capable catchers that the pitchers love throwing to. So really it's going to be who can do more with the sticks.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And Quintero making a good case for himself tonight.
It's always a luxury when you can have a catcher who's good at calling pitches and blocking balls, but also is an offensive threat as well. That's a position that, generally speaking, you don't have a lot of offensive explosion from. So if you can present that as part of your case, you're going to have a very good case.
That's 1-2 to Quintero. Lopresti also working from the stretch. Set. This one's in the dirt. An easy take from Quintero is hit off the leg guards of Brad Shannon. We were just talking about how good of a sound the pop of the mid is. The off the shin guard sound, not such a good sound.
Yeah,
also not such a good feeling.
That one's a little bit different. Definitely not as appealing.
So Quintero standing in with the 2-2 count against him. There's one away in the bottom of the 8th. Pacifics are leading this one 5-1. Lopresti tries to come back with a breaking ball and misses. That's really the first time we've seen him throw something other than straight gas.
Yeah, a breaking ball that didn't have a lot of action to it, but I think it kind of slipped out of the top of his hand. He's taken a little bit of time now and walked off the back of the mound to adjust his pants and tuck his jersey back in, and we'll see what happens when he gets back up here on the bump.
As a pitcher, does that help to reset yourself every once in a while? He started 0-2, now it's not gone 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do have to take a little bit of a breather and step away from the rubber and regather your thoughts and get back on and get your composure and get back to the fundamentals and the mechanical things that have allowed you to throw strikes consistently. And obviously he got back on there, threw a fastball strike, and was unable to get the batter out.
Yeah, Quintero equal to the task on that fastball, was able to shoot it through the right side. That's his 3rd hit on the night. Now 3 for 4, a very impressive stand from Quintero here. He's aboard with one away, Zach Pace at the plate. Pace has leveled his average out somewhat. He started off earlier in the year hitting over 500 as this one is skied into left field where Day White is under it, and he makes the catch. But Pace at one time was hitting 563.
Yeah. I remember doing a game earlier in the year, and the number 9 hole hitter was hitting 563, and I thought to myself, oh my God, these guys are they've got this guy hitting in the wrong part of the order. I mean, come on, 563 and you're the number 9 batter. But I think he's obviously leveled out, as you just mentioned, and has come back down to what is still a very respectable average, but it's definitely not the 563 that we saw earlier in the season.
Well, something you can definitely say for Pace is that when he was hitting that hot, he almost gave Ryan Pretty kind of a Tony La Russa style second leadoff hitter in the 9 hole.
Yeah, well, that's you do kind of want to see your 1 hole batter and your 9 hole batter kind of mirror one another. I mean, they're both cut from almost the same cloth, where they generally are speedy players that can lead off an inning, because a lot of the times you do have that situation where a number 9 hole hitter will come up and will lead off an inning. So you want to actually have him have a lot of the same types of tendencies that you'll have with your leadoff guy.
Quintero took off on that one. He's 4 for 5 on stolen bases this year. That's something you really don't see out of catchers, is stolen bases.
Right.
The only one that really comes to mind for me is Jason Kendall, formerly of the Pirates and the A's and a couple of other organizations. But Quintero does have some speed at first base, and he was texting Lopresti, who didn't look over there once during that pitch sequence.
Well, Quintero trying to show you another reason why he's a versatile player and why he wants to receive the majority of the playing time. He's a very established hitter, has had a very successful night at the plate, but also adding another element to his game that you usually don't see from a catcher, and that's the ability to steal a base.
Well, he's on second now after that. Would you call that a wild pitch or a pass ball? I thought that one was definitely catchable.
Yeah, I think the catcher's definitely struggling with some of these fastballs. That ball definitely went between his legs. It was not a ball that was thrown in the dirt. I think it's just a ball that he flat out just missed.
Well, missed it, he did. Quintero's on second now in scoring position for Micken. Micken has yet to get a hit on the night as he skies this one foul to the left side. He did walk in the 5th inning and did later score, but really hasn't done a lot for the Pacifics at the plate on the year, hitting .208, just 24 at-bats, 5 hits. In his first game, he had 2 hits, though. Yeah. So, been somewhat slow for them. Just came off the injured list today. He'd had a thumb issue, and today now healthy enough to play again.
Right.
As that one misses off the outside for a ball, so Micken gets on base with a walk for the 2nd time tonight, and that'll bring out the top of the order in Price Kendall. It's Lopresti's first walk on the night, the 5th walk surrendered for Lumberjacks pitching, and actually it's going to be Derek Hale. My error there. Hale sub for Kendall in the top of the 8th inning, and now coming out to bat for the first time today. Hale, who usually hits in the 2-hole, will be playing the role of leadoff hitter, at least for the bottom of this inning. They're 2-way. The Pacifics are down to their lost offensive out, as chances are, with Colin Allen coming in, as he probably will be in the 9th, the Lumberjacks will struggle to bring the Pacifics up in the bottom. As Hale swings and drives this one into the left center field gap, that'll get down for extra bases. Quintero is coming around to score. Micken is being waved around from third. He will score without a throw. Derek Hale stands on second base. And now the Pacifics lead 7-1.
Hale doing a great job of staying inside that ball and driving the ball to left field. Seems to be a guy who really, really likes to punch that ball the other way. I've seen him play on multiple games, and it seems to be a thing that he does on a repeated basis, where he likes to let the ball travel deep into the zone and stays behind it and drives balls to the left field.
And it drives manager Ryan pretty crazy when players don't do that. He loves when Hale does that, and he does it so well.
Yeah.
It was the first game of the Lumberjack series last week that you and I called together on Boomerang Radio, Charles, where he was demoted to the 7th place in the lineup, and he hit a single and a double straight down the left field line. I believe those are the at-bats you were referring to.
Right.
That opposite field approach will definitely get you playing time.
Well, it's an advantage to a hitter when you can allow the ball to travel deep into the zone and still be able to get to it. Hale has a relatively short swing, doesn't have a lot of wasted motion at the plate, so he's able to allow the ball to travel deep, which allows him to make better decisions. Quite simply put, when you're able to see the ball for a longer period of time, you're able to make better decisions, and that's exactly what good hitters do. They allow the ball to travel deep, they stay behind it, stay inside of it, and they use a shorter approach, a shorter stroke to the ball, and they wear that left side of the field out if they're a left-handed batter.
Boy, it's a great thing when you can use physics on your side, isn't it? A lot of hitters don't do that. They take a really big looping swing,
right,
and that takes off so much time where they can see the ball. And then at that point, you almost have to have spectacular 12-20 vision to really get a good look. When you're like Hale and you have a short approach, it's better.
Well, a lot of it, too, is understanding what your abilities are. You know, some of these guys are a little bit more physical in stature than Hale. He, not being the biggest and most physical guy out here, realizes what his strengths are, and he utilizes those strengths to his advantage. Some of the other guys that are a little bit more bigger and stout do have bigger swings, but they are also a little bit more capable of driving balls further distances, and they use their God-given ability and tools to create their success. So a little bit different approach, but nevertheless, both approaches tend to work for different individuals.
So Roland Nazar is going to go out and give James Lopresti a talking to. He did just walk Chase Fontaine to put 2 runners on with 2 away. Michael Hova coming up, so it's going to be power pitcher against power hitter. A fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter. Michael Hova, one of those hitters who, when you give him a fastball, well, there's an old baseball adage, trying to throw a fastball past Michael Hova is like trying to throw a lamb chop past a wolf. It's not going to happen very often. So we'll see how Lopresti approaches Hova. And, as a power pitcher, if you came up against a dead fastball hitter, Charles, how would you approach him?
Well, I mean, obviously you can't challenge right down the middle of the zone here. There are 2 outs. I mean, he's going to have to start to throw something off the plate here and maybe mix in a breaking ball or 2 just to keep the batters somewhat honest here. I mean, he's been consistently featuring a diet of fastballs with another fastball right there that Hova takes a large, extremely aggressive cut on. just realizing that, you know, you can't challenge fastball hitters down the middle of the plate is something that he's going to have to realize and understand. And if he wants to have some success here, I would advise him to stay away from the middle of the plate.
As Hova skies this one into shallow right field. Robbins is moving back. He'll be there to make the catch. And then retires the side in the bottom of the 8th. The Pacifics scored 2 on Derek Hale's double and then end up stranding a couple, but not before they're able to break themselves into a 7-1 lead. We're moving to the top of the 9th inning. Colin Allen, the Beard, coming in to pitch for the Pacifics when we come back. You are watching Pacifics Baseball on Marin Television.
What has CMCM given to me?
The Marin Community Media Center is a place where I get to be creative.
CMCM has allowed our youth to participate in filming community events.
Extraordinarily high quality training. I'm more engaged in the community.
You get to meet all kinds of people.
It really fulfills me.
It's a very, very supportive environment.
Community media is about us. Community media is about you.
Where it's our voice.
We are the voice of the people.
Without community media, where's the local voice? Where's the local diversity?
If we want to see this happening and continuing as such a great service, we need to support it.
Support your local media center because you'll be a better citizen if you do.
Support your local media center because your ideas matter.
Because it's important for our youth. Because it's vital.
Because it's invaluable.
So it's the bearded one on to pitch the top of the 9th for the San Rafael Pacifics. They lead 7-1. It's not a safe situation for Colin Allen. The Pacific Association is a professional league, so it's 3 runs or fewer to merit a safe situation. So Allen just getting in a little bit of work here. He hasn't seen action in a couple of weeks. His last action was in Maui.
Wow.
So he hasn't even seen action in the lower 48 for about a month here. So
wow, I can't imagine a relief pitcher going 2 weeks without throwing an inning or so, but he's going to get an opportunity to get some work in here this evening.
Colin Allen, who features that fast, really hard fastball, pitches to Joe Whittig. Gets the top of the order for the Lumberjacks, as he's missed twice very high. Might just be rubbing the rust off at this point. It doesn't look like he's following through, though.
Well, you know, when you haven't been out on the mound in live competition for 2 weeks, it takes you a little bit of time to get your bearings and get your release point down, and we'll see how it goes here.
That one's a fireball right down the middle. Allen, who sometimes touches 95. For this league, an extremely hard and overpowering pitcher.
Well, 95 at any level, at any league is legit. So,
as Whittig sprays this one into left field, that's down the line, and it will be trouble. He's taking a big turnaround first, and he's going to stay there, as Fontaine did a good job corralling that one in. So Allen allows the first batter of the inning to get aboard. And now there's one away, or one on with nobody away.
Pinch hitting for the Lumberjacks.
And there's going to be a pinch hitter.
Danny Rico.
Danny Rico, who patrols the outfield typically, is going to pinch hit for Andre White here. Rico, who is a staple player for the Lumberjacks before they made a couple of recent acquisitions, hasn't seen a lot of playing time as of late, as the Lumberjacks have acquired Steve Detweiler and Justin James. With Andre White out there, he's somewhat fallen behind, as he's not very much of an offensive threat.
Right.
As Allen pours another fastball in there, he's really challenging hitters, not holding back, just rearing back and firing.
Well, doing exactly what a good reliever will do is coming out and establishing the fastball early in the count, especially with a 6-1 lead right now. We've got to come out and challenge the zone right now and take advantage of the lead.
So Woodard bobbles that one, is able to corral it and get the out on the play. Whittig does go to second base.
Justin
So that's going to bring
James.
up the very dangerous Justin James. It's a 7-1 San Rafael Pacific's lead, so they're not in particular danger of giving that up with James at the plate at the moment. But Allen still has to pitch him carefully, as James does feature a lot of power, 3 home runs on the year for him, but he can also get it done with the legs too. As he missed off the inside with that one, I think.
Yeah, it looked like a strike from here, but yeah, it probably was a little bit off the plate on the inner half.
Pacific's just 2 outs away from winning this game as Wittig takes off and James fouls that one straight back. He had a great jump on Allen there. Allen didn't look him back.
He did have a great jump, but a little bit of a mystery as to why he'd be trying to steal a base this late in the game. His run is not going to make a difference in this game. They're going to have to get more runners than just him on base. So not quite sure what was behind that.
And the 1-1 pitch. That one again misses in the same spot as the first pitch. Narrowly missing the inside, 2-1 now.
Another good fastball down and in off the plate.
Wittig not going. Swinging a miss with a high fastball. James swung at ball 3 there, and now it's 2-2.
Allen featuring a very, very powerful fastball here. Once again coming in and really attacking the strike zone with power fastballs here. Has not thrown an off-speed pitch thus yet, and there's the first one right there, slider down and in.
And that was well placed by Allen, and that's good enough to get the strikeout of James. A very big strikeout for him. And now Mike Hof's coming up to the plate. Hof's responsible for the only run tonight for the Lumberjacks. Hit a home run off of Pomerantz, or rather Scholl, excuse me. And that was in the 7th inning.
Big, strong, physical batter here. Power against power once again.
Swing and a miss there. A big cut at a big fastball.
And
you know, you were mentioning that Allen has a great fastball. Well, he actually has 3 kinds of fastballs.
Right.
Talk about a fastball pitcher. He throws a 4-seam, a cutter, and a 2-seam, and then has that hard slider. So really, it's all hard stuff from him.
Right. Well, he's a power pitcher, which is why he's the closer on this team, and he's got power stuff. So loving what I'm seeing out of this guy right now.
As Hobbs waved at that one.
This is one of those situations that we talked about earlier where you were talking about a guy who hits a home run and what would you do the next time when he came up, and you're seeing Allen right now almost taking offense to the fact that this guy's hitting a home run and really challenging him with real power stuff here, and just there it is, a fastball down the middle to blow him away.
Well, that's the game. You can put that one to sleep. 7-1 is the final. San Rafael Pacifics come away with the win over the East Bay Lumberjacks. A good win for them. And not necessarily the biggest win, but a good win nonetheless. On this game, the Pacifics improved to 38-14, maintain their lead in the Pacific Association. The Lumberjacks fall to 1-21, losers of 15 straight. Not an easy road for the Lumberjacks early going in the Pacific Association. But everybody in the association is hoping that they can shape up. They played the Pacifics much better tonight than they have any other time they've seen them this season. And Charles, what did you see from the Lumberjacks tonight compared to last time when they were one-hit shut out?
I saw a completely different roster. I saw a lot more athleticism on their side. I saw a lot better swings from their batters. And I saw, quite honestly, on the mound, a lot better assortment of arms as well. So I think that they're definitely moving in a positive direction, trying to strengthen their team with an assortment of new players. And they came out and battled the Pacifics, and for the most part, gave them a very competitive game.
Well, the win goes to Chris Scholl. He improves to 5-3 on the year. The loss goes to Steve Detweiler, who falls to 0-1. It was a tough loss for him, the San Rafael native, who only allowed 3 earned runs, 5 runs total. And for a knuckleballer, was very, very good through the first 4. Just wasn't able to quite get it once the 5th inning rolled around.
Yeah, Detweiler did a very good job this evening. Like I said, he came out, he threw 4 good innings, gave his team a chance to stay competitive and stay in the game. Did not get a lot of defensive support from his teammates. Could have easily thrown more innings had he gotten that support from his teammates, but nevertheless came out, did a very good job, and gave his team a chance to compete.
Well, again, the final for you, 7-1, San Rafael Pacific's beating the East Bay Lumberjacks. They did it on 10 hits, didn't commit an error. All the Lumberjacks with 1 run, 7 hits, and 3 errors. That's about all we have for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a production of Marin Television. For Charles Scott, I'm Vinny Longo. Thank you also to all the crew, students, and everybody at Marin TV for making this summer possible, for everybody who worked on all of the Pacifics games broadcasted by Marin Television this summer. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.